Ladies and gentlemen, happy Easter and welcome to today's live commentary coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series Food City 500, the Bristol dirt race here today. And we've got a fun one for you guys. We're dirt racing for the only time in the NASCAR schedule this season. Truck Series race at Bristol on dirt was last night. Today, though, we have the Cup Series race. It'll be interesting to see what will happen throughout the course of this one. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into today's coverage of the Food City Bristol Dirt Race. And we'll get into these predictions, of course, as well for the start of the stream here today. Gonna get the chat on my phone while we're just getting this stream going right now. We'll go over the actual fantasy picks for today's race as well. So I'm having a bad time trying to multitask right now. I always have a bad habit of starting the streams and not having the chat up on my phone when the stream starts. Here we go. Cheyenne, Wade Solinsky, Harry T, Billy Kramer, Dark Crypto, AJ Summers, Seth Thomas, Aaron Goki, Stu Isaac, Tina Martin, and others. Welcome into the stream. And yeah, we are racing on a holiday here today. Hopefully you guys have had a good time with your family. If you have done so today, family, friends, wherever you may be having maybe some Easter parties going throughout the course. Maybe you're having a party tonight during the NASCAR race. Who knows? I know that we are right here on the channel. Can't wait for the action to begin. Race will be starting in around a half hour from now. And so we got to get into some pre-race predictions. First and foremost, as usual, you can go onto the NASCAR Fantasy app on the mobile app or website. A chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following NASCAR season, excluding the Daytona 500 if you win the regular season or playoff championship. On NASCAR's website, you go to even like the homepage, whatever page you're on here. Quick links, Fantasy Live, click on that. And then it'll take you to this page where you have a chance to make your lineup picks. This is my team. For this week, I've got Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, JJ Gailey, and Kyle Busch as of right now, and you can see the bonus picks. Basically, you put 5 drivers in for your starting lineup. You pick 6 of them, but 5 of them will lock at the end of Stage 2, and your garage driver, somebody gets in an early accident, maybe drops out of the race or isn't running as good as the other 5, you could swap them out before the end of Stage 2, and you have your bonus picks, which are 10 points per bonus pick, head-to-head there as well as you see. Usually you can just go onto League, search for KRC League. That is the league you want to join for the chance to win in our fantasy league here on the channel. I'll put it in the chat real quick. So KRC in all caps, space, then capital L on League. So there's that. Got it in the chat now. Will Lee, Kelly O'Neill, and Melinda L. Everett also welcome into the stream. So that is that. We're going to roll through these predictions pretty quickly today. There's not a whole lot of really statistical analysis to go off of this dirt race for Bristol. Kind of a wild card race. We have had 2 Bristol dirt races so far. This is going to be the 3rd for the NASCAR Cup Series. So based off of not having a lot of track success there and not a lot of track time this weekend, remember practice was rained out for the Truck in the Cup Series on Friday night. They were each supposed to have a 50-minute session. Instead, we only had the heat races, which were 15 laps. There were 4 separate heats. So each driver this weekend in the Cup Series has only had 15 laps of actual track time. And we'll go through the starting lineup, obviously. After that, we'll also go through the point standings. But gonna roll through this pretty quickly. Now, I will say, I've had a pretty good streak this season with predicting drivers to end up having good finishes in the races. My must-have picks that I guarantee top 10s for this year, I'm 18-5 through the first 7 races, and I've predicted 3 winners already correct this year, trying to go for 4 here tonight. And honestly, I feel pretty confident about my pick to win tonight's race. One of the favorites according to Vegas, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would probably agree he is one of the favorites today as well. Usually I'm going to start off with the drivers that don't particularly run well or who I don't think will run well in today's race, as I got to get the starting lineup back up there. There we go. So 3 drivers who I'm predicting to finish outside the top 10 today. And the first driver I'm going to predict to finish outside the top 10 today is going to be William Byron. I'm going to go with William Byron. He's been on a hot streak so far to start this season. He hasn't ran particularly well in the first two Food City Bristol dirt races. And Byron really not known for being a dirt racer of any kind. He doesn't really have much background. Most of his background growing up was racing on asphalt, as most of these drivers, but he definitely doesn't have the experience. I'd probably pick him as the fourth best Hendrick driver this weekend outside of, well, I should say the third best because Chase Elliott's not in the field today, but of the three that are running full-time in the Cup Series this season, I would probably lean towards Byron maybe not having as good of a day. His crew chief will not be on the box again this weekend, Rudy Fugel, so when it comes to trying to keep the track position and what strategy may come into play today, because I think it will be a battle for track position, that can come into effect at a disadvantage for Byron as well. So I'm picking William Byron as a don't have. I don't think he should be in your guys' fantasy lineups for today's race. Second driver I don't have in the fantasy lineup today, and I think you guys should probably stay away from as well, is going to be Kevin Harvick in the 4. He also has not ran well in the first couple of Food City Bristol dirt races. He's starting pretty deep in the field today, 26th place position. So yeah, predicting Harvick to not get a top 10 finish in today's race. I think he'll go 0 for 3 to get top 10 finishes in all three dirt races at Bristol. And the final driver is going to be a guy who struggled throughout last year's race. I was there in person. He struggled from the heats into the main event. He struggled in the heat yesterday. I think he's going to struggle in the main event again today, and that is going to be Denny Hamlin. Also starting very deep in the field. He's starting back in the 30th place position. Not looking for Hamlin to perform well. So Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, William Byron are my picks to finish outside the top 10 in today's race. Potential sleeper picks who could be underdogs for top 10s. We're going to start off with J.J. Yeley for Rick Ware Racing. He's starting third today. Ended up finishing second in his heat race yesterday as well. Ran really clean, really good. The only thing with Yeley that I'm scared about is if we get a lot of late race cautions, which we have seen in a lot of races this season. Last year's Food City Bristol dirt race didn't have as many yellows, and in the final stage, I think there were only 2 cautions per incident. And the final green flag run ended up going over 20 laps to the finish of the race as well. So if something like that happens, I think that could play into a good hand for J.J. Yeley. He did have speed in yesterday's action on track in the 15-lap heat race he was in. Definitely had track position or didn't have the track position, I should say, and was actually able to pass some cars early on and kind of got out into that second place position. I do think J.J. Yeley could get a top 10 finish today. I don't think he's going to really have a shot at the win in today's race. I think some of those other drivers that are starting towards the front of the field, which I'll touch on here in a little bit, will probably have a lot better of an upper hand, I think, in today's race. But outside chance that we could see a Rick Ware car finishing in the top 10 in this one. The next sleeper pick who I'm going to have in today's race getting a top 10 finish is going to be, well, he's not much of a sleeper pick because he's a good dirt racer, but he does have 4 wins in his NASCAR Cup career already. So based off the fact he's a younger driver is the only reason I have him as a sleeper. He's already won this season. He was at COTA a couple weeks ago. That's going to be Tyler Reddick. He finished runner-up in the Bristol dirt race last season and was leading on the final lap before Chase Briscoe and him got together in turns 3 and 4. Really, Briscoe overdrove the corner into Tyler Reddick and ended up costing both of them a chance to win. Still ended up finishing second in that race. He led a lot of laps in that one. One of the few drivers in the Cup Series that does have a lot of a dirt racing background. I think he's going to have a strong run today. He starts 6th, was really good in his heat race yesterday as well. So I think Tyler Reddick should have a good chance at a top 10 finish. And the last driver is going to be Christopher Bell. I think Bell's going to have a good look at a top 10 today. He's starting 4th. Also ran well in his heat yesterday and had finished in the top 10 and ran top 10 all of last year's Bristol dirt race as well. I think he'll do that today, having the track position to start things off. So the younger drivers are the sleeper picks. I got Reddick, I've got Reddick, I've got Bell, and J.J. Yeley for potential underdog there. And then going with, again, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and William Byron for my don't have picks. 3 drivers who I think you should absolutely have in your lineup, no ifs, ands, or buts on. We're going to start off with Kyle Busch. Busch won the dirt race at Bristol last year, and he's got a lot of wins at Concrete Bristol as well, which doesn't necessarily race the same, but for whatever reason for Kyle Busch, it still works as if it's the same track. Busch starting 5th today, has a fast car again. Reddick drove that car last year nearly to victory lane. Busch did win the race with JGR, so that's part of the reason why I think both Reddick and Busch will have a good run, and maybe even more so for Busch very similar to Auto Club earlier this season, where Tyler Reddick last year at Auto Club led 90 laps, won the first 2 stages of the race, but ended up not getting the win. He had that flat tire in the final stage while leading nonetheless. This year, Kyle Busch, with a similar setup, was able to take that car to victory lane. I'm sure a lot of the same things will be in place today for Bristol, and maybe Busch could go into victory lane for the second time this season. I am going to guarantee him a top 10 finish today, and I think Kyle Busch is a must-have in your fantasy lineups. Second driver who I have as a must-have in your fantasy lineups for today is going to be Trackhouse Racing's Daniel Suarez. Suarez has finished in the top 10 in the first 2 dirt races at Bristol. He actually won a stage in last year's race, like quite a few laps in that one as well. And the year before, he was running top 5 through most of it, also won a stage in the 2021 race. So I'm going with Daniel Suarez to get a top 10 finish today. I think he's a pretty solid start for your fantasy lineups. We'll see where he finishes at the end. Didn't look quite as strong yesterday as what he did in years past. He is starting fairly deep in the field, but I still think he can get a top 10 by the end of it. So, yeah, Daniel Suarez I'm throwing in there. I'd probably maybe swap Bell with Suarez when it comes to Bell. Maybe have more of a chance at a top 10 finish with the must-have and throw Suarez in the sleepers. But I do think, regardless of the fact of guaranteeing a top 10 for Daniel Suarez in this one, I think he's a pretty good start for your fantasy team. And the final driver, who is my pick to win today's race and is an absolute must-have when we come to Bristol, even if it's on a concrete or dirt at this point, but especially with it being on dirt, it's Kyle Larson. I think unanimously Larson is probably going to be picked by most of you guys, the fans in the chat. I will have to get that poll up in the chat here in a few minutes, but I do have Kyle Larson winning today's race. He's starting on the pole. He dominated that first heat race yesterday as well, and he has got a good chance of dominating the race again today. I know his crew chief is out this weekend on suspension, like I mentioned, with William Byron this week. But the difference between Byron and Larson is Larson is a proven, really, really talented dirt racer. So going with Larson, feeling confident keeping the guy up at the front of the field. A lot of the drivers on my fantasy team, honestly, starting towards the front of the field this week. There isn't a lot of passing once we get into this race and the groove starts to widen out, because the top lane becomes so dominant that cars try to make passes on the bottom, and if they can't get the pass made, they're in danger of losing a spot from somebody potentially running the outside behind them. So it's kind of dangerous to pull out a line later in the race. You'll see guys be more desperate to try to make those moves, but I don't necessarily think it's going to come into effect that they will be able to make it work. And if there are drivers that are able to make it work, I probably lean towards the dirt veterans in the NASCAR Cup Series to get it done, like a Larson, like a Bell, like a Reddick. And I trust Kyle Busch too. Joey Logano's not a bad pick, I don't think either, just because he won the truck race yesterday, won the first year at Bristol. He still doesn't have a lot of dirt experience, but he has more track time than a lot of other drivers this weekend. There were only 3 drivers in the Cup race today that were in the truck race as Cup regulars yesterday. I guess Matt Crafton technically was in the truck race yesterday, had a top 5 as well. He'll be running that 51 car for Rickware Racing, but I wouldn't group him in there with those other guys. And I'm not guaranteeing a top 10 for Logano either. That was just kind of like a bonus pick where maybe he's a good solid pick for your lineups as well. Brett Whitesides, welcome to the stream. David Niehoff and 6TD, that extra long name, but yeah, I'm going to just leave it short at that. Thanks for tuning in. I see you in the chat as well. Good at predictions. That's why he has fans. Well, there you go. Yeah, so if you're looking for any late betting advice before it closes off, there you go. I've got Kyle Larson picking, and I do my research every week. I didn't do as much today with it being Easter weekend, so I apologize for that. I kind of ran through the predictions quickly. Usually I have more of a database analysis for you guys, but I still feel very confident about my pick, especially the must-have predictions as we have had most of the year. Kyle Busch, standing with Tony Stewart, Clinton Boyer, and Chris Myers. So at the pre-race, you guys will get to listen in.
Dirt program, we see it, our kids race each other on Tuesdays, look over my shoulder on Wednesdays, and here you are in a dirt car. I didn't think you would ever embrace the dirt, but you really have.
Yeah, I mean, I've just kind of been a student of the game, if you will. I raced a little bit of it back when I was a kid. So about 13, 14, 15 years old, but not a lot, just a handful of stuff here or there in some different vehicles. But, really kind of picking it up, as you said, with Brexton now racing more and more on the dirt stuff. I had to get myself a micro, so when he goes and runs junior sprint stuff, I'm able to kind of share in the fun with him and run at many of these places with him and just kind of have a good time getting out there slinging some mud. Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Since Brixton started running and you're now running dirt more, do you feel like this gives you a little bit more of an advantage coming here versus guys that just strictly run the pavement? Well, I saw something earlier this week where it was like the NASCAR dirt guys, and the top 10, they ranked them, and I was in there, and I'm like, I'm not a NASCAR dirt guy, but I appreciate the rankings. I did win the dirt race, so I guess that elevates me a little bit, but I was still disappointed how low I was on the top 10 list, so I got to go out here and show them again who won last year.
Let's go bigger picture. You already have a win this year. It's really no longer a new team, with Richard Childress, the changeover, but this being the 8th race of the season and how you won last year. I loved your remark about being, kind of lucky and good in that circumstance. But what's your assessment overview of your season so far in your race team?
Yeah, I would certainly give us an A just because we were able to get to victory lane. We've won a race this year, but the first 3 weeks were super strong, really good at the Clash, Daytona, and then in Fontana as well too. But we've kind of slowed down a little bit since then, and we've really been working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes as to some of our processes and procedures as to how we go from where we net with a setup to then how we get it to the racetrack and it being fast enough to compete and run with the other guys that are fast, the other Chevys that are fast. So it's been fun, really great working with RCR, working with Randall, all the guys, and on this number 18. And I look forward to hopefully much more success. We got to get some more wins.
I know that your focus is racing, but you're also a big Broncos fan, NFL fan. Tim Tebow is here to enjoy the races.
Good to see you. Absolutely.
Former Florida Heisman, college football champ, led the Broncos to a big upset win. Nice to see you out here.
Right. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Man, you were here doing the sermon, right?
Yeah.
I saw you out there, big crowd.
It was an awesome crowd. It's awesome on a day like this when there's going to be a massive crowd here cheering for a lot of amazing drivers, but we get to cheer for something even more important, and that's our Savior, because He has risen. That's what Easter's all about.
All right, so seeing these guys fixing to go to battle, what kind of driver were you? You're an aggressive driver?
I would be terrible. I get motion sick. One
so
time
you're not
I rode
for a ride.
No.
Okay.
One time I've done it, and I rode with Mario Andretti, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to throw up in front of everybody because I was so.
I wish you would have. That would have been great. That's best TV ever. That's best
Not for me,
TV.
it would have been. And the whole day, the rest of the day, I was so sick. So no.
Oh, but you were a versatile player. I'm sure you'd be a versatile driver. Thanks for coming by. Happy Easter, too.
Of
Best of
course.
luck.
Great to see you guys.
Nice having you here. Good luck today. Best of the family, as always. We really appreciate your time.
Good to see you, boys.
Thank
Have
you.
fun, buddy.
All right, we'll be watching Kyle Busch at the end. You guys have to head up to the
We have a
broadcast.
thing, Chris. We have a thing.
Yes, you have enjoy calling the race and a happy Easter. Let's go over to Michael Waltrip with the Grid Walk. Michael.
Yeah, happy Easter, Chris. Happy Easter, America. It's time for the Grid Walk.
You got the Easter Bunny
Here
with
comes
Michael
Peter
Waltrip.
Cottontail. Thank you for coming and joining me. Hey, Michael, I love Easter, and you are the love guy.
Yeah, well, happy Easter, everybody out there. Excited to be running Bristol Dirt tonight. I'm starting next to a Cup champion here, so I'm in a good spot. Hopefully we can get this Love's Travel Stop Ford Mustang in the victory lane.
You got it. Hey, he talked about a Cup champion. There he is, by that's Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt, what's happening, buddy? What a run that was. Let's see if we can catch up with Bubba Wallace. Here's Bubba. Good job last night in the truck.
Thank you.
It's cool to see it. Hey, Bubba. Waltrip here. How you doing?
Hey, pal, we're good. How are you?
I'm doing great. What do you think about tonight? You looked awesome last night.
Yeah, I thought our car was good. The guys here did a good job. Just got to settle in, and I think the track's going to go through a massive change. Rubber getting laid down. I think the bottom is going to be dominant like the truck race last night, but gotta just turn our luck around and just survive.
I think you will. And you know what? That was like a real interview I did. That wasn't some of that weird stuff I do on the Grid Walk. Let me say hi to Willie B. Hey, Willie, I think I saw you doing a shop Grid Walk. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you do a shop Grid Walk?
Yeah, it was pretty fun with all my guys, so we had a good time.
Want some candy?
Oh, he's a little creepy.
Happy Easter, America. It's a beautiful night in Bristol. Let's go dirt racing.
Oh my gosh, that was loud. Okay, I was expecting them to cut the break that quick. Alrighty. That was a fast grid walk. They didn't have as much time this week for it. Sarah Isaac, thanks for tuning in. Terry Lewis, Bond 1771. Also, welcome into the stream. We've got just over 70 people watching here today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. We just hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel during last night's Truck Series live commentary stream, so let's try to run that up. We're on the goal to 5,000 subscribers as of right now, so We'll see if we can get there by the end of the month of May. I think we've got a good chance. We've got a lot of big races coming up. Of course, we've got this weekend at Bristol. Martinsville, always a fun race. We'll have live commentary coverage through the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup races Friday through Sunday next week. I'll be at Talladega the following week after that for the ARCA, Xfinity, and the Cup race. So it'll be race highlight videos from the grandstands that weekend. There will be no live commentary for Dag on the channel because, again, I will be at those races, but you can expect some videos from the track that weekend to be uploaded as well. We'll be right back here the following week, though, when they go to Dover, Kansas. Of course, the Coke 600 coming up next month. That'll be a good one. I plan on doing live commentary more than likely for both the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 on that Memorial Day weekend. So looking to pull the Indy Coke 600 doubleheader myself with the commentary side of things next week. So it'll be a long Sunday, but we'll wait, obviously, when we get there. But we got a big month planned here on the channel. So let's see if we can get to 5,000 subs by the time the Indy 500 rolls around. I think we've got a good chance to get there. Alrighty, so while they're on commercial right now, we'll actually just go through the starting lineup of today's race before the pre-race invocations. Kyle Larson going to be on the pole for this one. Won his heat race yesterday, looking for his first win on Bristol Dirt in the Cup Series today. Just a reminder, it took him 3 tries to win the Eldora truck race before finally going to victory lane back in the early 2010s there. So we'll see if third time's the charm again on dirt for Kyle Larson in NASCAR. Austin Dillon will start on the outside of the front row in second today as well. J.G. Yaley and Christopher Bell will be in row 2 for today's race. Yaley, a good dirt racer, former USAC champion. He will be on the inside of row 2. He finished second in his heat race yesterday afternoon. And Christopher Bell, very known for racing well on dirt, a 3-time Chili Bowl winner. Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick will be in row 3. Busch won this race a year ago. Reddick runner-up in that same dirt Bristol race. Austin Cindric and Ryan Preece will be in row number 4. Row 5 will be Ryan Blaney and William Byron. The Blaney name synonymous with dirt racing. His dad, Dave, a former World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series champion. We'll see if that will bode well for Blaney today. Had a great comeback, top 10 last season. Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano will be in row 6 for this one. Logano won the inaugural Dirt Bristol race and the truck race at Dirt Bristol last night. Bubba Wallace, also a former dirt winner in NASCAR. He won an Eldora dirt truck race as well. Row number 7 will be Michael McDowell and Chase Briscoe. Briscoe, another Cup regular with a dirt racing background. It'll be interesting to see what he does today. Challenged for the win late in this race a season ago. Todd Gilliland and Ross Chastain will be back in row 8 for the start of today's race. Alex Bowman, Eric Jones in row number 9. Bowman, another dirt racing background driver in the Cup Series today. We'll see what he'll be able to do from mid-pack starting position. Eric Almirola and Harrison Burton will be in row 10. Jonathan Davenport making his first career NASCAR Cup start. Ran the truck race last night. He'll be in the 13 car for Colleague Racing today. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished runner-up in the 2021 Dirt Bristol race. Will start on the outside of him in row number 11. Row number 12 will be Ty Gibbs and Matt Crafton. Crafton filling in for Cody Ware this weekend, who has temporarily stepped away from racing. So Crafton filling the shoes in that 51 car for Rick Ware Racing today. Gibbs making his first start at Dirt Bristol in the Cup Series and in general this weekend as well. Crafton also had a top 5 in the truck race yesterday as well. Justin Haley and Kevin Harvick will be in row 13. Martin Truex Jr. and Chris Busch in row 14. Truex won the truck race at Dirt Bristol in its inaugural season back in 2021. AJ Allmendinger and Denny Hamlin will line up in row 15 for the start of today's race. Josh Berry, Ty Dillon in row 16. Row 17 in tonight's race will be Brad Keselowski and Daniel Suarez. Corey LaJoie, Noah Gragson in row 18, and BJ McLeod rounding out the field in today's race.
We hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rocket, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the
I almost didn't get through the starting lineup in time. I was cutting it pretty close there. Just got you to the start of the national anthem right in time. We're about 4.5 minutes away from the command to fire engines for today's race at Bristol on dirt. I'm excited, as I hopefully you guys are as well for this one. I love Bristol. Even though it's on dirt, I prefer them racing on concrete personally. Bristol still has a special place in my heart, so love seeing NASCAR go here twice a season regardless of the fact, so I can't wait for tonight and to bring you guys the action of this one. Obviously, I was at this race last year, so didn't get to do live commentary for it last season. Got to do the truck race last night, but the Cup race and Made show will be here today. We went through the starting lineup for the race already today. Let's take a quick update of what the point standings look like for the NASCAR Cup Series coming into the 8th race of the season today, as I might have to log out of this. Nope, never mind. Hang on. I do have... OBS disconnected on me. Sorry for that. Sorry for a little bit of a lag there. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Had a pop-up right as I was pulling the point standings up. Alright, so coming into the points today, Ross Chastain is currently your leader right now. He doesn't have a win on the season, but does have 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s to go with 3 stage wins on the year. So he's got a few playoff points. 15 playoff points are awarded for the regular season champion, so having that 30-point cushion is pretty good. Remember, Alex Bowman and William Byron were both docked 50 points earlier in the week. Chastain still would have had the lead regardless of that penalty for Bowman and Byron, but Bowman would have been second in points instead of Bell, and he would have been only 6 behind Chastain, but instead Chastain now going to be up by 30 over Christopher Bell, who is also winless this season. In fact, the highest running driver in the driver's standings so far this year with the win is the 4th place driver in the standings, looking for a win here today, and that would be Kyle Larson. Larson just got his first win of the season last week at Richmond. He's my pick to go back-to-back today, so maybe he'll get his 2nd win of the year. But as far as tonight goes, he is the highest in points of those drivers. He's still 37 behind Chastain, 4th in the standings. Joey Logano, 5th in the standings. Kyle Busch, 6th. They both have a win as well. The other drivers with a win this season would be Reddick with 1. Byron has 2 wins. He's the only driver with more than 1 win through the first 7 races. And then, of course, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the Daytona 500 earlier this season. All those drivers are still in the top 16 in points. So right now, Daniel Suarez is the first driver below the cutoff line with 19 races to go in the regular season. He is 17th in points, and Chris Buescher would be the last driver in on points. There's a 6-point difference between Buescher and Suarez for that final spot in the playoffs as of right now. A couple other drivers who are just inside and just outside the cutoff line. Just outside right now, Michael McDowell, 18th in points. He's 8 back of Buescher on the cutoff line. Corey LaJoie having a great start to the season for Spire Motorsports. He's only 9 points out of the cutoff line. And rookie Ty Gibbs, only 17 points back right now. Strong start to his rookie season. And Gibbs with 3 straight top 10 finishes coming into today's race. We'll see if he can make it 4 in a row. Making his Bristol dirt debut. Remember, he hasn't even ran a dirt race in any of the top 3 series in NASCAR because the Xfinity Series doesn't have any dirt races. He never made a Truck Series start. And this is his first start at Bristol on dirt this weekend. He did not run this race a season ago when he was running part-time. Mainly that part-time ride was in relief for Kurt Busch, who was injured at Pocono last season. Drivers just inside the cutoff line without a win this season. Austin Cindric plus 17. He made the playoffs with the win in the 500 last year, but had the consistency to make it as well throughout the course of the season. Pretty strong rookie year himself. So Gibbs kind of picking that banner up for the rookies again this year. Denny Hamlin, 30 points to the good right now. Remember, he was also docked points due to a penalty a couple of weeks ago, so that kind of hurts him early in the season. And then Ryan Blaney plus 30 right now as well, despite being in the top 10 in points. So still tight with it only being 7 races into the season. I think once we get through Talladega in a couple of weeks, that's when we're really going to start to see who the contenders and the pretenders will be as far as trying to point their way into the playoffs for those drivers who won't have wins at that point in the season, because once we get to that point in the year, we've got a lot of intermediate tracks still to go in the middle portion of the season, quite a few road course races, so a lot of skill-based racetracks yet to go through. Godzilla Legendary 2078, thanks for tuning in. PNW made 206. Earl Arnold Jr., NASCAR Vintage 17. And others, welcome in. Brian Zantap, welcome to the stream. Mr. Keegan is better than any TV station, anything listened to when a race is on. Appreciate it. Literally fishing right now in Florida. My man allows me to listen to the race. Appreciate it. Surprised you're getting connection out on. I would imagine you're probably like not on a lake or something, because I feel like you wouldn't be getting great connection if you were. But whatever the case is, appreciate it. $65-point penalty. Oh, you're talking about the. Are you talking about the Hendrick penalty? Well, never mind. I guess it did drop Bowman out of the lead. I thought it was 50. My bad on that one.
Flag Officer, Rear Admiral
Here's the command.
Jackson.
Cause Navy, your Navy, damn the torpedoes, and drivers, start your engines!
All those beautiful race cars sold.
Doran Davis, Robert L., and Chris Hendricks, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. We went through the starting lineup for this race already today, and went through the updated point standings coming into the race as well, so now it's just a matter of waiting for them to come back from the commercial break and get that green flag drop to start this race. 250 laps will be the scheduled distance in this one. Just a quick reminder, just like the truck race last night or any other like standalone event for the Xfinity or Truck Series, there will be no live pit stops. If you're wondering why there's no live pit stops, it's the only Cup race where that is not the case as far as the points paid races go. Reason for that, they have to do some track prep to the dirt to try to maintain the racetrack throughout the course of the night. You would see this during local dirt shows as well. Typically, they'd have it in between heat races to the LCQs and then between LCQs to the feature. But because it's just one main event tonight and these are the only laps on the racetrack, you're going to be seeing them have 75-lap increments throughout today's race, getting to the end of this one. So I believe 75 laps in stage one, then they'll have track prep, and then we'll end up having another 75 laps. Then the final stage will be 100 laps. So that will be the track prep for today's race. It will water the track, and the teams will be allowed to make some adjustment changes, change tires as well. They aren't guaranteed to make those, or they're not mandated to make those, so if drivers stay out during the stage breaks and try to get track position, they will be able to do so, but positions for those that are pitting will not be able to change in that fashion. We saw some drivers on the truck race at the end of stage one stay out. Matt DiBenedetto did so, and a few others, and they were able to actually stay in the top 10 doing so. Got some stage points. Unfortunately, though, when the final stage started, they had to pit because they weren't going to make it on field at the end of the race. Not everybody pitted at the end of stage two, and we'll see if that'll be the case here today. There wasn't a lot of tire fall off in the truck race yesterday, so I'd imagine that we could see a similar strategy in the Cup race today, even with the race being an extra 100 laps in length. We'll just have to see how the track holds up throughout the course of the night. It was fairly smooth throughout the truck race yesterday based off of some of the interviews I watched from drivers, whether it was on the actual broadcast at the end of the race or just on YouTube earlier this morning after the fact. A lot of the drivers were actually kind of praising the track conditions. Some of the dirt guys that were making one-off starts in the truck race yesterday were saying that it was almost too smooth, that they felt if it was a little rougher, maybe the groove would have widened out a little bit more than what it did. There were a couple drivers that tried the outside line throughout the course of the race, but couldn't really get it to move all the way up to the cushion on the wall. The only drivers who were really up there were Chase Briscoe and Stuart Friesen throughout the entirety of the race, but they couldn't really make anything happen up on that outside groove. There just wasn't enough cars running up there. We'll see with more dirt drivers in the field today, whether they be making a one-off start like a Jonathan Davenport or just really good dirt races that happen to race in the Cup Series like a Larson, a Bell, a Stenhouse. We'll see if they will move that groove up throughout the course of tonight's race. And the extra 100 laps could help as well. Which three best NASCAR dirt racing tracks, Eldora, Knoxville, or Bristol? I mean, I prefer Eldora, just with it being a purpose-built dirt track, but I will say the first couple of races, when they actually get green flag racing in, and it's not a wreck fest, which really last year in the Cup Series it wasn't a wreck fest by any means. The year before that kind of was, but it was kind of a dust bowl and they were running in the afternoon. They made the mistake there. Last year at night, it was definitely a lot better. I didn't have any visibility problems being there in person. I was sitting towards the top of the racetrack, so it is pretty, good to be able to see everything. They did a great job maintaining the track throughout the night. And that was even with the rain that happened because there were a couple different rain delays during the race also.
Austin Dillon won the first qualifying heat last night. J.J. Yaley has the best start ever for Rick Ware Racing. Started ninth in his heat, finished third, and three-time Chili Bowl champ Christopher Bell. Kyle Busch, the surprise winner here last year. And Tyler Reddick, who led 99 laps last year and almost won it. Austin Cindric had a great run in his qualifying heat. Ryan Preece climbed to second in his heat, right on the bumper of Kyle Larson. Ryan Blaney, top 8 in both dirt races here at Bristol, and William Byron, who finished third in the trucks last night. Clint, who's on the dial-a-tone?
It's Austin Dillon. Speaking of last night, had a great heat race, by the way. I want to hear about that. Hey, Austin Dillon, Boyer and the boys up in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear.
Man, you had an awesome heat race. Held off Reddick there. Great battle. Went to the whip a little bit. Pulled back by him. But because of that good heat race, you're starting up front. Got a good view of this racetrack. What does the racetrack look like, and how are you going to keep up with it throughout the night?
It seems like it's got a little moisture in the middle of the track right now. A little darker down low. I'm sure we're going to kick those crumbs up, and maybe for a few laps this top will be good, and I think it'll slick off here in a little while, and we'll see some good racing. And last night was a blast in our Red 3 Chevy, and hopefully we can keep it up again.
All right, buddy. Good so far. Good luck out there.
Thanks, sir.
Now, his racing roots are in dirt late model racing. He'll be a contender tonight. All right, let's go to pit road and get some late-breaking stories. Birthday girl, Jamie Little is first.
Thank you so much, Mike. Well, it's been a great weekend for Joey Logano already. Last night, he led 138 laps in the truck race, drove into victory lane in just his 9th start in that series. Now, as far tonight, he told me he knows what to expect. He's anticipating what changes to make as this track changes tonight. And he also noted that the drier this track is, the dustier it is, the better his chances are of winning here on Bristol Dirt for the second time. Regan Smith.
Well, Jamie, Chase Briscoe, one of our dirt track ringers who's expected to contend tonight and nearly won this race a year ago, is racing with a bit more of a challenge. Earlier this week at Bulls Gap Speedway, he broke his left middle finger. He has a custom form fit cast on that hand to allow him to be in the race car and still race without the pain in that hand. Keep an eye on that. He said the only time it's a problem if the car gets really tight and he's got to use that left hand a certain way. Josh Sims?
Well, Regan, you don't get the nickname Superman without being superhuman at something. And dirt specialist Jonathan Davenport is just that, racking up over $2 million in winnings on the dirt last year alone. Well, this is his first time in a cup race. He's in the 13 car, and he said the one thing he can draw upon is his ability to read the dirt and how the track is going to change. Everything else is much different. He's just hoping he can show everybody why they call him Superman.
Thanks, Josh. 37 drivers lined up, 3 stages. Stage breaks at lap 75 and lap 150 of this 250-lap event.
Cannot say enough about this guy in third place, J.J. Yaley. Phenomenal job last night. Passing points were awesome. That car, that 15 car, is up front because of that boy behind the wheel. J.J. Yaley, a very good dirt racer. Keep an eye on him.
Chevy Silver.
Pace truck is on pit road. Green flag is in the air, and we're racing at Dirt Bristol for year number 3. Larson leads the field down into turns 1 and 2. Reddick up on the outside lane, kind of had a stalling start from row 2. Falls back a little bit. J.J. Yaley got swallowed 3 wide middle by the exit of that second corner and lost about 3 or 4 positions. He's battling for 8th with Austin Cindric right now. Larson leads the opening lap of the race while Austin Dillon and Christopher Bell are side by side for second. A little bit of contact getting into that corner. Seemed like Bell really slammed the door shut on Austin Dillon. Didn't give him a lot of room to make the corner, but Dillon by the exit of the corner able to still slide clear of Christopher Bell as he tries to move to the outside lane. Tyler Reddick now trying to occupy the bottom underneath of Christopher Bell, not really able to get there and has to drop back in line behind him again before entering down into turns 3 and 4. Bubba Wallace, William Byron side by side behind Ryan Blaney in a 3-car battle for the 10th place position in the opening laps of today's race. Larson leads another one at the start-finish line. He's got about a 5-car length lead over Dillon in second. Larson has now led the first 3 laps of today's race. Train game around the bottom of the racetrack for most of the drivers inside the top 10 to 15. Couple of them, maybe a lane off the bottom, but nobody really washing up to that middle to upper groove unless they're outside the top 20, just trying to stay out of each other's way in the back half of the field. 0.8 of a second lead now built up already for Kyle Larson. Ryan Preece was able to jump up to 5th, gaining about 3 positions on the opening restart of the race, and Yaley, who started 3rd, fell back to 8th before finding himself in line behind the Penske Fords of Logano and Blaney. Blaney trying to make a move to the outside of Joey Logano, 4th position as they battle for 9th. They'll be the only car side by side through turns 1 and 2 that time by, and Blaney clears him on the exit of the corner. Held the 22 very tightly on the bottom. Logano wasn't able to get to the throttle as quickly as he wanted, and Blaney slid clear to his outside. And Blaney really working that middle groove very, very well. And he's closed quickly now on J.J. Yaley for position as he looks to the outside of the 15 car through turns 1 and 2. Still some sun in areas of the racetrack. It is not completely under the nighttime skies yet, but it will get there eventually as the night progresses. Austin Cindric getting by Kyle Busch, who had a big moment in turns 1 and 2. Almost lost complete control of his race car in the center of the corner. Busch maybe a little too loose in the early going of the race. Drops back to 7th place. Lost a couple spots from the very start. Cindric moving his way forward. All 3 Penske cars in the top 10 in the early going. And Austin Dillon has ran down Kyle Larson at the front of the field right now. Larson's led the first 10 laps at the start-finish line this time by. He has moved up to the middle lane. Austin Dillon staying right on the bottom on that white line through the center of the corner still. But on speed, Austin Dillon challenging Kyle Larson for the race lead. Dillon's teammate Kyle Busch with a win already this year. Dillon would love to get a win tonight to lock himself into the playoffs. Looking sporty so far this weekend. Ran very well, ended up winning his heat race yesterday, and as a result, started on the front row in this one. And running well with a driver who also won their heat race yesterday of Kyle Larson, as he went wire to wire in his race. Leading all the laps. Trouble! Bubba Wallace and Joey Logano is around, and Logano has backed it into the barrels at the front of pit road. I believe that is off the exit of turn 4, and it is. And that will cause some decent cleanup. No major damage on the 22 of Logano's car. Despite backing into the barrels there, very lucky. It looked like Bubba Wallace got a little too loose in the center of the corner. He was practically spinning out when Logano made contact with him. In fact, Logano did a good job checking up to keep it off the 23, but Byron hit the 22 from behind, knocked him into the 23, which turned both cars around, and then Logano backed his car into the tire barrels at the front of the pit road entrance off the exit of turn 2. So again, that'll probably cause some substantial cleanup. I'm curious to see if we'll actually stay under caution here, because that's going to take him a good dozen laps to get that cleaned up, at the very least. He didn't hit him with a lot of force. The car was almost stopped, but just enough to knock a few of them over, which obviously spread some sand across the dirt at the entrance of pit road there. It almost looked like Bubba Wallace was probably going to have that slide saved, but he was sideways, too far sideways for so long in the first half of the corner. Now Logano, he did a great job checking up, but Byron didn't see what was going on there. He ran into the back of the 22 before Logano had a chance to really slow that car up to keep it off of Wallace. And then once Logano got shot putted from the 24 into the 23, there was zero chance for Wallace to continue making the save at that point. Both cars went around. I think the 38 of Todd Gilliland also kind of got turned into the outside wall head on, as well as he got ran into from behind from somebody else that had checked up behind the spinning cars to the bottom of the racetrack. So it looked like 3 cars suffering a little bit of damage in that wreck, but nobody with severe damage. I think all 3 of those drivers should be able to stay on the lead lap and continue on, as long as they don't have to make any pit stops here to change tires, where they could potentially lose a lap or 2 under the caution. Everybody remains on the lead lap, and this is the first caution of the race at lap 10. Again, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, and Todd Gilliland involved, but no major damage on any race car, luckily. Larson was still in the lead when the caution flag came out. Currently, Kyle Larson is the race leader. Austin Dillon is in second place right now. Christopher Bell in third. Tyler Reddick is fourth, and then Ryan Preece is fifth. Austin Cindric is in sixth place. Ryan Blaney in Kyle Busch in seventh. Ryan Blaney eighth. J.J. Haley ninth, and Chase Briscoe is 10th. William Byron will be in 11th. Alex Bowman 12th. Michael McDowell 13th. Eric Almirola 14th. Bubba Wallace 15th. Eric Jones in 16th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up to 17th. Ross Chastain 18th. Matt Crafton 19th. Harrison Burton is 20th. Jonathan Davenport 21st. Ty Gibbs 22nd. Justin Haley 23rd. Denny Hamlin in 24th. Corey LaJoie 25th. Josh Berry 26th. Martin Truex Jr. 27th. Noah Gragson 28th. Daniel Suarez 29th. Kevin Harvick is 30th. Ty Dillon at 31st. A.J. Allmendinger 32nd. 33rd is Chris Buescher. Brad Keselowski 34th. B.J. McLeod 35th. Todd Gilliland 36th. And Logano will be at the rear of the field in 37th. Again, those drivers involved in the wreck and cleanup at the front of the entrance to pit. Actually, it was off the exit of turn 4. Not turn 2. It was turn 4 where Logano had backed it into the barrels at the front of pit road. So, my apologies on that one. It was tough to tell from the camera angle what end of the track they were actually on.
Only change the 4 tires at the stage break. That leads me to the Verizon race strategy. Pit at the end of stage 1 only, pit at the end of stage 2 only, or possibly pit at the end of both stages. And Mike, honestly, I think we'll see all 3.
That'll be fun to follow, Larry. You can only fuel during the stage breaks. You can pit anytime you need, and when you have a flat tire, you can get that one replaced.
There's a flat left front tire on Todd Gilliland's race car, so he'll definitely have to come to pit road. There was contact from William Byron in the 24 as he went up the track after getting into the back of Logano, and that is what knocked Gilliland into the outside wall and cut that left front tire down. No major damage around the fender. Hasn't started to shed the body around that left front fender of Gilliland's race car, but obviously having to come into the pits and may lose a lap or two. It looks like he's already lost a lap or two as we speak, as they're on pit road trying to repair the damage on that 38 car after having that flat tire. And I wonder if pit road was potentially closed for the cleanup if he is pitted on the front stretch, and maybe that is why he didn't come into the pits yet, but obviously going to have to come in as that tire's down on the rim. Sean Browning, Frank Powers, Joe C., and others. Delbert Wilson, thanks for tuning in also. Like the trucks on road courses like Mid-Ohio. I actually went to the Mid-Ohio truck race last year. I had a lot of fun. I thought it was a good race. Honestly, I thought that was better than the Xfinity race I had saw there the year before. And even the IndyCar race, which was like the week before that too. And the IndyCar race I thought was pretty good too, but from an actual race itself, I thought the truck race was pretty solid. And it was a fairly clean one for the most part. Billy Bob Jr., thanks for tuning in. Logano got into a spin. So again, under caution for the first time, yellow at lap 10. Bubba Wallace had gotten sideways in the middle of the corner. Looked like he about had the car saved, but William Byron ran into the back of Joey Logano, who was behind Wallace at the time. That launched the 22 into the 23, which completely turned Wallace around, and then Logano also spun after the contact getting sandwiched between the two cars. He backed it into the inside tire barrels at the exit of turn 4, so that pit road on the front stretch. So they're cleaning up the barrels that had gotten knocked over. Again, no major damage really on any car there. Todd Gilliland probably had the most damage because when Byron made contact with Logano, he went up the track trying to miss him and ended up door slamming the 38 and cut his left front down. So Gilliland is a lap down. If we get a quick enough caution, he will get that lap back and get into the free pass position. There was no lap traffic at all in the truck race last night because we didn't have a green flag run longer than 13 laps. Hopefully we have that today. Went 10 laps to start the race before that first yellow. Larson has led them all so far. So they're under a commercial... Oh, never mind. They're actually back from the commercial break. And they will be getting the 1 to go signal this time by. They've already gone through the choose rule. Austin Dillon elected the outside of row 2 behind Larson, despite being in second, did not want to take that bottom lane. Looks like there's quite a bit of mud getting caked onto the front of these race cars. Luckily, none of it's getting caked onto the grills, though, so we're not seeing any overheating issues, at least in the early going of this one. Might have watered the track maybe a little too much before the start of the race. Got 75 laps in this first stage, and we'll have exactly 55 laps to go yet in stage 1 when they go green this time by. Ryan Jensen, welcome to the stream as well. Yeah, I think there was 12 cautions in the 2001 Food City 500 we were watching earlier in the week on our Throwback Thursday live stream. So Larson on the outside of row 1 will be the control car. Green flag back in the air. Bell tries to take off on the bottom. We haven't seen that work out well through the truck race yesterday. A little bit better for the 20 this time around. He'll battle to the inside of Austin Dillon off the exit of turn 2. Kyle Larson easily clear of both race cars into 3 and 4. Larson in that middle to upper lane just as well as Austin Dillon behind him. Dillon going to be able to clear the 20 off of turn 4 for second place, and Bell is all clear of everybody behind him as well. Side by side though for fourth still going on between Ryan Preece and Tyler Reddick off the restart. As well behind them, Austin Cindric and Kyle Busch in a battle for position. With Ryan Blaney closing in as he's gained a few positions in the early going of the race as he gets to the outside of his teammate in the 2 of Cindric. Very close to making contact with that right rear corner panel in the center of the corner. Nobody trying to ride the cushion in the early going. Everybody staying in that middle to bottom groove in the early laps of this race. Showing that beautiful Tide paint scheme that Justin Haley's got, the 31 car for Colleague Racing today. Probably my paint scheme in the field this weekend. Always loved the Tide rides. Always got some good Tide paint schemes throughout the years of NASCAR. Dating all the way back to Darrell Waltrip back in the 80s. Through the Ricky Craven years into the early 2000s. Eric Jones had a pretty good scheme in the dirt race here a couple years ago. That was a Tide scheme as well. A little bit of 3 wide racing going on outside the top 15 right around Eric Jones, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Ty Gibbs. It looked like there may have been contact made between Jones and Stenhouse as Stenhouse was able to make a 3 wide pass on the outside of both of those race cars. J.J. Yaley, who started in the 3rd place position today, has already fallen outside the top 10. He's currently in 12th. Wallace battling back from that spin on the restart is already up alongside Eric Almirola for about 14th. And Bowman, who started 17th in the race, battling Yaley for position. He's up a handful of positions. 4 spots gained for him so far. Biggest gainer of those in the top 20 right now. Almirola up 5 spots. Briscoe up 5 spots. Josh Berry up 6. Corey LaJoie up 13 positions from the start of the race. And Gregson up 10. Blaney gets by Ryan Preece to the outside. So Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney moving forward on the restart. Blaney, who started in the 10th place position today, up to 6th. He's been one of the drivers that has actually made a lot of his passes on the outside. And I don't think I've seen him run a lap on the bottom since the opening couple laps of the race when everybody was just trying to find themselves in line. Tyler Reddick now under duress from Kyle Busch. Busch runs him a little bit off of his door in the middle of turns 1 and 2 as Busch came off the white line on the bottom of the racetrack. He'll clear Reddick with the slide job off of turn 2 for 4th. Preece got right back around Ryan Blaney. Blaney trying to cross him back over as they continue to battle for 6th behind him. Top 5 right now, middle of stage 1. Kyle Larson leads by 0.7 of a second over Austin Dillon in 2nd place. Christopher Bell's 2.4 seconds off the lead in 3rd. Kyle Busch is 2.6 seconds off the lead in 4th. And Tyler Reddick is in 5th, 3.3 seconds off the race lead. 35 laps to go yet in this first stage. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is looking very quick. If he can get some track position, middle portion of the race, he's passed quite a few cars already. And he's got a handful of them for position, less than a second in front of him. As he's less than a second off the 12th place car. J.J. Yaley already. Stenhouse started 22nd today. Preece and Blaney continue to go back and forth in that battle for 6th. And they have lost ground from Tyler Reddick in the meantime as a result. Nobody really able to keep up with the top 2 cars at the front of the field, though, as of right now, at least for those drivers that are also inside the top 5. Behind them, though, Austin Dillon's still within a second of Kyle Larson. He's not letting him get away, and he actually was about a second behind him off the initial start of the race, but then ended up, as he dropped back, he was able to reel him in over that 10-lap run, so we'll see if we get a longer run here, if maybe Austin Dillon will be a little bit better than Kyle Larson. A lot of battling just outside the top 10 still around the 15 of J.J. Yaley, who doesn't look to have the speed that he looked to have had in yesterday's heat race. Alex Bowman got around him after a little bit of contact battling for position. He's on the outside. Bubba Wallace to his inside into turns 1 and 2. Wallace going to complete the pass, and now Almirola also looking to get by the 15. Kyle Larson was about a 10th quicker than Austin Dillon that last lap. Kyle Busch has caught Christopher Bell, who slid way up the racetrack, lost the front of his car, maybe a little too tight for Bell. Had to lift quite a bit off the exit of the corner. Busch slipped by for 3rd. He's trying to go back-to-back in this race. Double-digit wins for Kyle Busch at the Bristol Motor Speedway over his career, including that dirt race a season ago. And that's just in the Cup side alone. I think he's got over 20 wins across the Truck Xfinity and Cup Series races at Bristol, whether on concrete and one on dirt. Larson kind of starting the corner off on the bottom and letting the car feed up towards the middle all the way towards the wall then by the exit of the corner, and not really running one particular lane all the way through the corner. Caution flag is out right now. Looked like Matt Crafton and Joey Logano may have gotten together. Waiting to see a replay on what exactly happened. And actually, it was Todd Gilliland in the 38 who had gotten into Logano. I think the 51 of Matt Crafton spun in front of Logano and Gilliland. He went up towards the outside wall. And then Logano got ran into from Gilliland from behind when he was trying to check up. That's the second car that's lost control or nearly lost control in front of Logano, and he gets hit from a car from behind as he was trying to check up to keep it off the car in front of him, and has caused him to kind of enter the wreck. Still no major damage on the 22, but a rough start for Logano in the early going of the race. Brainer Martinez, thanks for tuning into the stream tonight as well. Ethan, welcome to the stream. We'll take our first break of the day while they're under the caution. You're watching the Food City Bristol Dirt Race live on KRC for the NASCAR Cup Series. A lot of racing still to go. This is our second caution of the race at lap 37. About 20 minutes into the action tonight. Update on those drivers that I made the predictions for the start of tonight's race on. Kyle Larson, my win pick, is currently in the race lead in the early going. He was obviously one of the must-have picks as well. The other must-have picks of Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell also in the top 5. Kyle Busch in 3rd. Christopher Bell is 4th. The sleeper picks for today's race had Daniel Suarez. He started pretty deep in the field. Still running very deep in the field. Back in the 33rd place position, unfortunately, right now. J.J. Yaley has fallen back to 14th off the start of this one. And then the other driver was Tyler Reddick, and he is in 5th place right now, having a solid run as well. And as far as the don't have picks go, Kevin Harvick, 34th, predicted him to finish outside the top 10. He has been abysmal to start off in this race as expected. I didn't know if he was going to be that bad. I just predicted him not to have a top 10. Denny Hamlin's moved his way forward a little bit. He started 30th. He's up to 24th, but still pretty deep in the field in the early going of this race. And then William Byron is in 10th place right now. Also predicted him to not have a top 10, so he's right on the border of that in the early going of the race. But trying to stay out of trouble because it seems like that trouble's been happening right around the 10th to 20th place positions here in the start of this race.
Race tracker showing the 2 cautions that we've had so far in this first stage, which goes 75 laps, same as stage 2. Here's one last look at the spin by Matt Crafton. Look right of your screen, upper right.
Just by himself, probably just lost it in all reality. I mean, and to Matt's credit, I mean, Matt's run a lot with the trucks. He's just not run a cup car.
Here's what they said.
That was too much. Sure, Matt. Yeah, just way tight in the center, and I'm just trying to set it on entry.
All right, for more on track conditions, here's Daniel Suarez's team.
Yeah, just keep an eye out, what the track looks like right there in front of you. Pay attention to where it looks slick. Those guys are staying right out of the, keeping their right rear tire out of the black. I can barely see the right side of my windshield. It's all messed up.
Now, last year, a big concern here was dirt, mud actually, filling up the grill opening of these cars as the race went along. Things look like this. You don't get a lot of cooling when that grill opening is impacted. Let's take a closer look with Larry McReynolds in our Toyota Cutaway car.
One of the challenges when we go dirt track racing is keep the airflow flowing freely through the radiator. So let's go to our Toyota Cutaway car at our Toyota Tech Center to show you some of the things that teams do a little different. It starts with the grill opening. It protrudes forward about 2 inches, and they put an outerwear that velcros over that can be changed out quickly on a pit stop. Now, just behind that in the ductwork, they'll put a secondary screen. We call it a shaker screen to catch dirt and other debris. Now, air still flows to 2 different places, to the engine and out the hood louvers. But that block-off plate, they will completely eliminate to keep the air flowing a little more freely as it exits out the hood louvers. The bottom line, Mike, you have to have a good handling car, but you have to keep things cool.
Thanks, Larry. 43 complete, 2 caution flags so far, and no problems with mud tonight.
Yeah, these teams have done a really good job of addressing the situations, and every year they get smarter and learn more and more about what to do to protect the grill openings to get fresh air in these cars.
Let's check with Josh.
And you guys were talking about just how tight a lot of these teams have been reporting that their cars have been. Well, the same for Tyler Reddick. So they started off tight to start the race. They said as that run went on, it just got worse and worse. Obviously, he's still running in the top 5, but you can use a little help with that car right now.
Christopher Bell complaining of tight also, and here's Austin Dillon.
For people searching for moisture, they want everybody to stay single file in one line. The 20 would run right here between the black and halfway south there. It's way tighter than everybody else, so it's starting to work for them there a little bit. 8 was right side up to the cushion both ends. Right rear in loosed up 3 to 4, a couple laps just because they get up too high. Not quite there yet.
Little intel for Dillon, who will restart outside the second row.
Front row for the restart, Kyle Larson on the outside, and Kyle Busch will try to contest that race lead from the get-go, this time staying door-to-door with Larson into the Geico restart zone. We're back to racing at Bristol with 30 to go in stage 1. Busch didn't take off as well in the bottom as Christopher Bell did on the last restart, although Bell didn't have much success. A little bit less of that for Kyle Busch this time around. He'll still be in third, though, on the restart, which is where he was running when the caution flag came out. Bell going to try to undercut the 8 of Kyle Busch now to his inside through turns 3 and 4. Can't get the drive off, though, and Busch will remain clear and has a massive run on his teammate Austin Dillon for second, down into turns 1 and 2. Busch going a little bit wider than Austin Dillon, who was in the middle lane all the way through the center of the corner. One car in the outside wall off of turn 2. Looked like it might have been Matt Crafton. Again, we stay green. Ryan Blaney already working himself up to the 5th place position as he battles Bell for 4th. Blaney looking like a rocket ship here in the early going of the race. I'm not sure lap time-wise before the last caution where he was running compared to the leaders, knowing there's not a lot of tire fall-off for these drivers today. He has definitely been one of the few drivers making passes in the top 10. Both him and Busch, since the restart, have been able to do so. And Busch still keeping a very tight gap between himself and Austin Dillon in that battle for second. Larson slowly trying to get away once again, as Larson has led every lap so far in the race today. Bell going up the racetrack a little more. Continues to be a little tight, as we've heard from some of these drivers having those issues in the early going of the race today. And as the track temps will cool, as the nighttime skies start to carry over this Bristol Motor Speedway, that may only get worse and worse if they can't keep up adjustment-wise, which there will only be 2 chances to make pit stops in today's race if the teams choose to make pit stops during both of those stages. Kyle Busch in the 8 car. Looking towards that outside lane. He's still about a half a lane higher than Austin Dillon in the center of the corners. That's allowing him to get maybe just a little bit better drive off. Now Dillon goes more towards the bottom this time on his entrance to turns 3 and 4. Busch all the way around the top. Continues to carry the momentum. Now tries a slingshot move down to the bottom in turns 1 and 2. He's going to slide up the racetrack. He's not going to be able to clear Dillon. Dillon gets the drive off now, but they're door-to-door for second down the back stretch into 3. Dillon going to hold the 8 car a lot tighter this time around, not giving him as much of a rush off the exit of the corner, and Busch will have to try that pass again here in a couple laps. As he dives back in line behind him, goes back to that middle to upper groove, just behind Austin Dillon this time, and looking for a better go at it. Christopher Bell starting to drop back after this restart. Priest had passed him for 5th, and now Priest is to the back bumper of Blaney. Blaney and Priest have been battling back and forth for a lot of this race. It's been very fun to watch the 41 and the 12 go at it. Doesn't matter whether it's been a battle for 8th, a battle for 6th, or even in this case, a battle for 4th. Priest tried to make the pass on Blaney, couldn't get it done, and Bell almost got back around him for position. Tyler Reddick also starting to lose spots off the restart. He's back to 7th. Briscoe has made his way up from 14th to 8th in the early going of this race. Bell again not able to make the pass of Ryan Priest on the bottom. Bell, one of the dirt ringers that has actually stayed around the bottom of the racetrack most of this time. Tyler Reddick is going to have a good chance of trying to make a pass on him here before long if he keeps going down to the bottom and is having a lack of success to do so. 20 to go. Austin Dillon will get passed by his teammate Kyle Busch for second into turns 1 and 2. Busch is all clear. Dillon going to try to get the drive off to get back to the inside of the 8. He can't do it, as Busch is about a second and a half behind Kyle Larson for the lead, who has dominated the first stage of tonight's race. 19 laps to go yet in stage 1. Nearly 3 wide for position between Cindric, Bowman, and Haley in a 3-car battle for 10th. Stenhouse starting to close in. Stenhouse is already up 10 spots from the start of the race from 22nd to 12th. Bowman and Haley door-to-door into turns 1 and 2. Corey LaJoie very slow off the pace. He'll be heading to pit road this time. So something has happened to Corey LaJoie. Or maybe he is just making his way off of pit road. Whatever the case is, LaJoie was down to the bottom of the track. And we are under caution for a Brad Keselowski spin at the tail end of the field. This is our 3rd caution of the race. But Keselowski's around with 18 laps to go in stage 1. Jennifer Brumfield, Kelly Jones, Dale Campbell, welcome into the stream also. Just over 120 people watching. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Live commentary streams for the NASCAR Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races on the race weekends. Next week, NASCAR will be at Martinsville both Friday through Sunday. Truck race will be Friday night, Xfinity race Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon for the Cup Series race next week. Be sure to tune in. All those races will be on Fox Sports 1 for the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup next week. So it'll be the 2nd race on FS1 this year for the Cup Series. So if you're unable to watch it, be sure to tune in right here so you don't miss any of the live commentary action. Throwback Thursday live stream on Thursday, of course, as well. We'll watch an old Martinsville race. You guys will get to vote for that in the community tab. We'll have that poll up sometime tomorrow for you guys. And you'll have all week to be able to vote. And speaking of voting, I haven't put the poll up in the chat yet, so I apologize for that. Let me do that right now. For who you think will win today's race. Who will win today's NASCAR Cup So we'll just go with the top 3 right now. So we'll put Kyle Larson in the poll. Kyle Busch. And Austin Dillon. Along with other, and you can specify in the chat your pick for other. I'm sorry I didn't get that up before the start of the race. My bad on that one. I'll give you guys a little extra time to vote on that. Usually we close it at the end of stage 2. We'll close it as soon as they drop the green flag to start stage 3. Means there will be that break during the stage break as well. So it gives you guys an extra chance to vote in the poll. See who the fan pick will be for tonight. Yep, Larson's led every lap so far. From the poll. Uncontested, but Kyle Busch is up to second now. Started 5th. Kind of slowly worked his way through the field. Actually fell as far back as 7th off that initial start of the race. From the inside of row 3. So, has gone from 7th to 2nd. Blaney and Priest have moved up quite a bit through the field, especially Blaney. Started 10th, he's up to 4th. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I'm looking out for Stenhouse. I mentioned earlier in the week, I don't know why I didn't have him as one of the sleepers. I should have had him instead of J.J. Yaley. That was kind of dumb for me to take Yaley just because he was in a Rick Ware racing car. Should have known that when the race started that he wasn't going to stay up there. It's kind of similar to the Jordan Taylor situation at COTA a couple weeks ago where he just should have known. In that instance, it was Taylor's first career start in a Cup car. But yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the move. He started 22nd. He's up to 12th place right now. So 10 spots gained for Stenhouse so far. Heading to the choose this time. And that means we'll have about 11 laps to go when they go green in stage 1. And I believe that last green flag run was our longest in the early going to the race at nearly 20 laps. 3 early cautions. We'll have a 4th with the stage break coming up fairly soon, and then the track prep will begin during the stage break, and the first opportunity and making some adjustments for pit stops will be coming up as well.
I cannot get any traction. Wrecking, spinning out, getting in the corner, and no drive on exit. I'm just locked to the right, trying to be as quick as I can here, but track's getting pretty slick here.
And here's some radio from Chase Briscoe.
That was Blaney's radio, by the way.
And once that time gets further and further around and gets more and more blown off, it's going to be harder for it to, work, and it's going to start creeping back down the racetrack, and I feel like that's where, like right now, it makes me think that we'd be pretty good.
Well, we'll see how that works out. Briscoe with a cast on his hand, broke his finger, not racing, but at the track Thursday night. Made a deal with the doctor, he said. If you'll just let me race Bristol, I promise I'll show up Monday for the surgery to make repairs.
And I found out there's a very good possibility he may not have to have surgery now.
Great.
So it's unfortunate. It was at a dirt race this week, but listen, you got to live your life. You got to enjoy life. And if you're at least driving race cars to get ready for a dirt race, a dirt event at Bristol, I'm all for it still.
All right, it'll be 11 to go in stage 1. 6 of the top 8 right now are dirt track diggers, and that includes
dirt track diggers. I don't think you should say that.
Sharon Speedway
in Ohio.
Austin Dillon leaning on Larson.
I would say Larson actually pinning the 3 down on the bottom of the track for the restart. There was a lot of room to the outside, but Larson was not given that room up for Austin Dillon to use. Green flag, though, back in the air, and Larson quickly clear. Busch with a slingshot off the outside, off the exit of turn 2. As he tries to pin his race car down to the bottom to get right back by Austin Dillon. He does so perfectly. Great move by Kyle Busch to get right back into second place. Dillon holding up in third. Ryan Preece, Ryan Blaney much closer behind him off the restart. Preece was able to get by the 12 as well, so Preece off to a good start in the 4th place run. In the early going of this one, looks like there's a bit of a rut building up in the middle of turns 1 and 2. I noticed that during the truck race yesterday, and that seems to be the case here. We'll see if they can get that maybe patched up during the stage break coming up in 9 laps. Otherwise, it is going to be very interesting getting through that corner throughout the course of the night. It may bottom these race cars out, and they could end up losing control. And it almost looks as if there's maybe a rut building up in turns 3 and 4 in a similar spot of the racetrack as well, just from some of the aerial shots we've seen. A lot of nose-to-tail racing just outside the top 10. It has been very condensed and action-packed, really 11th through 20th most of this race. Little room for error. Michael McDowell and Alex Bowman battling hard. Logano trying to make his way back up through the field. Stenhouse, who was 12th on the restart, fell back to 17th. And Joey Logano has been involved in 2 incidences today. He's trying to make his way back inside the top 20 as well. Austin Dillon has caught Kyle Busch after a few laps of racing. Tries the slide job move through 3 and 4. Clears Kyle Busch by a wide margin, and he's back into second place. Ryan Preece now looking at third, I should say, as he's in 4th on the inside of Kyle Busch. Making up some ground there, but the top 5 much closely packed together now compared to what they were at the start of the race. I think a lot of it has to do with maybe the 5 fastest cars in the field. We didn't see a lot of those drivers with track position off the start other than Dillon and Larson. But now they're up there, and they're keeping at least decent pace with Larson, even though Larson still seems to be the guy to beat in the early going of this race. 4 laps to go, stage 1 this time by. Kyle Larson, again, is your race leader. Austin Dillon is in second, 0.8 of a second off the lead. Kyle Busch is third, 1.5 seconds back. Ryan Preece in fourth, 2.1 seconds off the lead, and Ryan Blaney's 2.3 seconds off the lead in fifth. Stenhouse down to the bottom, 3 wide under Austin Cindric and Martin Truex Jr. A little bit of contact between Cindric and Truex. And now maybe a little bit of contact on the front stretch heading down into turn 1 with Stenhouse underneath both race cars. Again, 3 wide into turns 3 and 4. Now with Gregson making some headway in the 42 cars, he's just outside the top 10 all of a sudden. Battling with Cindric and Stenhouse. That third lane on the outside passes both race cars and shoots himself up ahead a couple spots. Final lap, stage 1 at the line. Larson's got about a 1.3 second lead over Austin Dillon. Dillon and Busch have gone back and forth for second. Spin off of turn 4. Caution flag is out on the last lap of the stage, so the stage will end due to an accident. Denny Hamlin went around. Josh Berry also collected. Berry finished runner-up at Richmond, driving in relief for the injured Chase Elliott. Career best finish for him last weekend. A lot of damage to the right front of Denny Hamlin's race car after that accident. And it looked like Berry was the first driver to lose control. And Dillon got into the right side of Berry's car after he was turned around, and that's what caused all that damage on the 11 car. Larson has led every lap of the race so far. He'll win stage 1 in this one. Austin Dillon will end up second in the first stage. Kyle Busch third. Ryan Preece fourth. Ryan Blaney will finish fifth in stage 1. Christopher Bell sixth. Chase Briscoe seventh. Tyler Reddick eighth. Justin Haley ninth. And William Byron will round out the top 10 in the first stage. Stage 1 break right now. You're watching the Food City Bristol Dirt Race live on KRC for the NASCAR Cup Series. We'll have pit stops on the other side. Fan vote right now. Larson leading the voting poll at 31 votes. 48% of you guys think Larson will win today's race. Kyle Busch at 23% of the votes. Austin Dillon with 10% and other at 19% so far through the first stage. Kenneth Reitz, welcome to the stream. It could be domination the whole race. Logano pretty much dominated all the truck race yesterday, and I was wondering if Larson would be able to do the same thing today. I predicted him to win. I didn't predict him to necessarily dominate, although I thought it could have been a possibility. I'm sure a lot of people could have thought that could have been a possibility. I'm sure a lot of people would have expected Larson to have won a dirt Bristol race by now, just to have 2 races here with how good of a dirt racer he is outside the sport of NASCAR. Hasn't really been up at the very front of the field in the closing laps of this race yet, so hopefully he can have himself up there now. Got the monkey off his back for this season, as he finally got that first win at Richmond last week on a short track, so trying to go back-to-back on some short tracks here in the early going of the season which would tie him for the most wins this year in the early going at 2 apiece with his teammate William Byron. As those are the only 2 Hendrick cars to have a win this year. Bowman's still winless. Been very consistent so far this season, but no wins. And then obviously Chase Elliott's been out for a little while. Only ran the first couple races of the year for having that snowboarding accident. Josh Berry, though, finished second, runner-up last week for Hendrick, but obviously no wins for him in that 9 car either. And then, of course, Jordan Taylor ran back at Coda in that race car. I think Berry is scheduled to run the rest of the races in that car until Elliott does come back, and hopefully Elliott will be back sooner rather than later. More than likely in a must-win situation if he's going to want to make the playoffs.
Credit One Bank ones to watch. Who you got your eye on?
Man, I am on board with this 41 car. Ryan Preece, he has impressed me, caught my eye, very fast. I think he's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, but I still think you got to watch this 5-car Kyle Larson. Even if it's not perfect, Kyle knows how to drive around the condition of the car and make it do what he needs to do.
Well, he's kind of hard to watch because he's out of the screen so far. He's ahead.
Well, you won't let me pick 2. I was going to take Richard Childress Racing, but let's concentrate on Austin Dillon. He and his brother Ty both started racing late models on dirt, and they were really good at it. Haven't had a chance to do that much in the Cup Series, except at Bristol, 1 time a year. Won his heat race. He's been up front all night so far. Where are the rest of the dirt track specialists?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Mike. You know, Christopher Bell heard him really complain about his race car, very tight condition. Chase Briscoe, guy was in the picture, literally going for the win on the last lap, struggling a little bit. These boys are going to need some big adjustments, Tony.
Well, I think the second stage is really going to tell us what we need to know. Which crews can make the big adjustments to get their driver the balance they're looking for. I think if you see a guy that gets his car fixed in this second stage, he's going to be hard to deal with in the final round.
Yeah, it's all about waking that baby up. He's Tyler Reddick. We haven't talked about him either. By the way, the one that Briscoe wiped out for the win, it was Tyler Reddick. So lots going to happen here at stage in.
All right, non-competitive pit stops on the dirt track here. They will leave the pit in the same order in which they came in. Let's go to pit road.
Well, Mike, the 41 car, Ryan Preece, you see him right there in front. You've been doing such a great job all night long. His race car just a little bit loose on the entry. It causes tight middle for him right now. He is mentioning the bumps that you guys have been talking about over there, struggling to get across those bumps. And the 5 of Kyle Larson, he has been very good in the car. From the start of the race, he said he felt like he had more grip than yesterday. He has not changed his tone since then. The main thing they have been doing is watching the cars behind them, trying to compare where the lines are going, where maybe he's gaining or losing time, just working through that so that they can stay ahead of what's going to happen later on here. Jamie?
And Kyle Busch, nice battle with his teammate Austin Dillon. You see him right there pitted side by side as the mechanics go over the wall. Remember, pit crews are at home. Kyle Busch, though, he was moving around trying to find more grip. He was leaning up on that cushion and it just wasn't biting. So they're going to tighten him up, help him with that forward drive. Same with Austin Dillon in the 3. Didn't have a whole lot of complaints. They're going to tighten him up a bit, but best qualifying effort he's had all year. Started on the front row, and he's kept it there in the top 4. So they'll get a drink, they'll tighten him up, and they'll get going again. Let's go over to the other side and Josh Sims.
Yeah, just an update on Tyler Reddick. He's one of the drivers that elected to stay out. Now, we talked in the beginning of the race, he felt tight. He said he kept getting tighter and tighter as the race went on. But his last update was saying that car is really starting to come to him. So they asked him if he wanted to come in or stay out, and they let the decision go to Tyler Reddick. And he said, I value track position. I'm happy where the car is right now, so I'm going to stay out, guys.
He's one of those 4 drivers Josh mentioned who chose to stay out and not pit. Reddick was 8th, Wallace was 12th, Truex was 18th, and Ty Dillon was 24th.
So there you heard it. 4 drivers staying out of the pits during stage 1. Tyler Reddick, the first of those, so he'll be the restart leader. Bubba Wallace also stayed out of the pits along with Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Dillon. So Larson will actually be in 5th place on the restart. As again, with not having any live pit stops, the order in which they came into the pits will be the order in which they will leave pit road during this stage 1 break. So another 75 laps at stage 2, and then the final stage will take us 100 laps to the finish. These teams will have one more chance to make some adjustments, top off on fuel if they choose during the second stage, but a lot of these drivers staying out should be able to make it on fuel for 150 laps at Bristol. So these drivers that did stay out of the pits should be able to make it on fuel to the end of the second stage. Might as well try it. We did see a lot of tire fall off yesterday. I will say Reddick is the only one that has any sort of top 10 speed. He may have a little tight of a race car, so not being able to make some adjustments during the Stage 1 break could come at a cost for him. But between that, Bubba Wallace maybe a little on the loose side of things. We'll see. Got some ill-handling cars that are up there that were kind of struggling compared to some of the leaders, and those leaders will be lined up behind him. It'll be interesting to see which of those drivers can maybe get to the front quicker than the other. James Moore, thanks for tuning into the stream once again tonight. As well as anybody else who I've not shouted out in the chat so far in this one. During this stage break, I'll give a showing of a diecast here. Usually do this at the end of Stage 2. I did not do it during the truck race last night, so we've got 2 diecast showings in today's race. It is a dirt race at Bristol, and so I have to show off some diecasts of my guy Blaney. I've got one of Dave, and I've got one of Ryan. So I'll show you the Dave Blaney diecast. Of course, Dave was a legend in the sprint car racing world from the state of Ohio, where I'm from, of course, as well. So there's that synonymous for myself, being a fan of the Blaney family growing up, watching Dale specifically race, which is Dave Blaney's brother, younger brother. Watch him race growing up in Northwest Ohio. This is a 2003 Jasper 77 car. This is Dave Blaney's. I just realized the splitter's kind of cracked. Look at this, the splitter's cracked. I didn't notice this till just now. Well, that stinks. Well, not the splitter, the spoiler. The spoiler's cracked. It's still in one piece. I didn't notice that till just now. It's probably been like that since I bought it and didn't even realize it. But yeah, Dave Blaney Jasper car. This is the only Dave Blaney NASCAR diecast I have, so I figured I'd show it off for you guys. So, got a Dave Blaney number 77 Jasper paint scheme. But this is 2003. Can't believe the spoiler's cracked. That actually kind of bothers me now. I do have the throwback diecast that Ryan Blaney ran during the 2018 Darlington throwback race. Well, it would have been the Southern 500, I guess, that year. So they only had one race at Darlington in 2018. Teams are just leaving pit road right now. So they should get them cycled up and ready to go here before long.
Stewart will be among those going 4 wide for the NHRA at Las Vegas.
I'm excited about it. I've seen the 4 wide. Now I get to participate in my first 4 wide. So the drivers talk about how crazy and hectic it is. And here's the drag strip at Bristol Motor Speedway, Thunder Valley. And it is loud. Just 2 cars here at this racetrack is super loud with those hills on the side.
At the NHRA will be here June 9th through 11th in Thunder Valley, and on the 4 wide at Charlotte CMAX Dragway, April 28th to 30th.
There you see they had to cut most of the front end off of Denny Hamlin's car.
All right, so 4 drivers stayed out, as we mentioned, going to break. The rest of them will line up behind Ty Dillon, and that will be your Ram Pit Road running order on the left side of your screen as they roll into position. Jamie?
Well, Mike, tires look a lot different for the dirt race. These just came off of Austin Dillon's car, 75 laps. They look brand new. Clint, Tony, I know you guys always like to see what they look like when they come off, but man, they look like they could put them right back on if needed later.
Well, they sure do, Jamie. I think you're spot on. They maybe still look like they've just cleaned them up and roll again, huh?
Yeah, and that's the thing about this dirt on this racetrack. It's very, very pure clay, and it's not very abrasive at all, so it doesn't tear the tires up very much.
Regan?
Yeah, Mike, a little question here for Tony and Clint. Guys, I'm not a dirt racing guy, so I don't know a lot about what's going on with these tires, but this is the right rear off of Kyle Larson's car. Take a look at the edge of the right rear right here, starting to chunk away just a little bit. Is that something they need to be concerned about or not?
It's really not. I mean, some of that is because I'm sure Larson was a little freer than he wanted to be, or loose at the start of the race than what he anticipated. But that's just where you're sliding the car laterally to the right. So as the track slows down and slicks off a little more, he'll run that car straighter, and that should clean up.
Josh Berry will restart at the tail end. His team was still working on the car when the 6-minute clock expired. In fact, he is still on pit road. The surprise of the night, former asphalt modified champ Ryan Preece with us today.
I mean, the cushions are pushed up so high down here, and like I said, if there's anything there, it's going to be pretty short-lived. You know, much like when you watch sprint cars or even super late models on dirt, there's a cushion, there's nothing, it's just marbles, right? So you don't have that right rear to lean on to make grip.
This Saturday, real football for real fans comes back. It's the 2023 USFL season opening kickoff weekend to start the new season. Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on Fox. Stage 1 complete here in Bristol, 75 laps, another 75 for Stage 2. And then 100 laps, Stage 3 to finish it off. Kyle Larson wired Stage 1. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch, teammates this year at Richard Childress Racing, in hot pursuit. Then Ryan Preece, Ryan Blaney. They'll be the top 5, or rather not the top 5, they'll be 5 through 9 as we go back to green, because up front are the drivers who stayed out after pitting, after the end of Stage 1. Larry.
Yeah, let's talk about Kyle Larson in dirt racing as an eBay guaranteed fit. Kyle is a 2-time winner of the Chili Bowl Nationals, the 2021 Knoxville Nationals champ, and he actually won the Truck Series dirt race in 2016 at Eldora. He just won a dirt race the other night at the local Bulls Gap track. This all sounds like an eBay perfect guaranteed fit for Kyle Larson racing on the dirt.
He is a dirt track specialist and came in here. I wouldn't say he was the prohibitive favorite coming in, but I did see one person on our Fox staff set his wallet on the table and said, put it on the 5. No, we didn't.
Pretty good.
We're not allowed. So here's Thursday night what Larry was talking about. Larson in the 6, Davenport in the 49. Jonathan Davenport, Superman, and you'll see why as they trade the lead back and forth.
Well, he got his cape trimmed a little bit with Larson showing up. They had the spoilers hanging off of it. Slide Job City back and forth. These two battled it out, put on a show for that crowd Thursday night. But Kyle somehow, some way was able to come home with a victory. Even had a flat tire. Kyle Busch, he was lapping Busch on the last lap, came up, clipped him in the left rear, had a flat tire, wouldn't have made it another lap. That was an impressive showing for Kyle Larson.
And here they are tonight. Larson, who won the first stage. Now, he has scored his first because that's how the stage ended. He will fire off 5th, or he'll be 5th at the choose because of the 4 drivers who did not pit, and Jonathan Davenport currently 23rd.
I've got a new ones to watch. We talked about Reddick earlier not really being a part of that equation, stayed out. That strategy that Larry talked about, all 3 of those would probably take place. Well, they have. This Tyler Reddick might see a new race car with his clean air and being up front, leading the pace.
That was the second stage win of the season for Kyle Larson. So with that win last week and a stage win, 2 stage wins now on the year, we're looking at 7 playoff points through 7 races, and obviously still more playoff points to get in race 8 tonight at Bristol. Stage 2 about to begin in tonight's Food City Bristol Dirt Race. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the coverage. Be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet already. Helps me out a ton. Just hit 4,000 subs on the channel during the truck race last night. Our road to 5,000 begins. Green flag back in the air. Reddick and Truex on the front row. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, row 2 on the restart. Truex did not take off well on the bottom in the 2311 Toyotas, looking to get around him. Larson washed up the track into the side of Ty Dillon on the restart, and he's got pressure from Ryan Preece to his inside, while Logano's on the wall further back and losing a dozen positions or more off the exit of turn 2. Ty Dillon still holding up those drivers on fresher tires behind him. Logano in the wall again in turns 1 and 2. So 2 corners in a row. That 22 car up into the outside wall. And the 3 Toyotas who had stayed out of Reddick, Wallace, and Truex are still 1 through 3. A couple laps following the restart as they all run that bottom groove for the most part. Truex maybe a little lower than the 45 and the 23 in front of him. Larson and Preece still battling for 5th behind Ty Dillon, who also stayed out of the pits, but Ty Dillon not able to keep up with the 3 Toyotas in front of him for right now. Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon have been crossing each other over back and forth in a battle for the 8th place position on the racetrack. I should say that's Christopher Bell and Austin Dillon battling each other. Larson just squeezed Ryan Preece into the outside wall off of turn 4 as they battled for 5th. That was a pretty hard shot into the wall for Preece. Hopefully his car's okay. Austin Dillon now going to put pressure on Preece for position, and Larson quickly getting away from the 41. Definitely did not have him cleared off the exit of the corner. No fault of Ryan Preece there. It's just got stuffed into the wall. Larson cleared himself. Wallace and Truex still not that far behind Tyler Reddick, who continues to lead. The track position game seemingly working out for Reddick right now. About 5 to 6 laps into the restart. Again, the caution laps don't count during the actual stage break, but they do during other cautions today. Mainly due to the red flag period for trying to maintain the racetrack, watering the track, and allowing these teams to make some pit stops and make some changes to the race cars. Those are the only times they will be able to do so tonight. We're under yellow again as Jonathan Davenport has just spun out. Looked like the car slipped out from underneath him. There was no contact that caused that. Great job by J.J. Yaley, barely missing Davenport to the outside in the middle of turns 1 and 2. And that will be the 5th caution of the race here tonight. So Jonathan Davenport has sprung, bringing out the yellow. Your top 10 currently in Stage 2. Tyler Reddick leads the race. Bubba Wallace in 2nd. Martin Truex Jr. is 3rd. Ty Dillon 4th. Kyle Larson is 5th. Ryan Preece in 6th. Austin Dillon 7th. Christopher Bell 8th. Kyle Busch 9th. And Ryan Blaney is in 10th. As we're about 8 laps into the second stage today. And only 83 complete out of 83 complete, 167 to go out of the scheduled 250 laps for tonight's action. NASCAR Planet also welcome into the stream. About 150 people watching. Santiago Kid also welcome. Bowman slowly moving up to the front of the pack. Where's he at right now? He's 12th. Yeah, kind of. Started 17th. He's been outside the top 10 the whole race. It's been very difficult to make passes at the front of the field. And I think it seems like it was a good decision for those top 3 to stay out. Larson wasn't even able to get by Ty Dillon on that restart. He was under duress from Ryan Preece, and they were battling for a while before Larson ended up stuffing him into the wall. And then a couple laps later, caution ended up coming out further back in the pack anyway with Davenport spinning. And that 3rd entry for Colleague Racing. And the 13 car, same car that has been ran by Chandler Smith a couple times this season. Smith ran that car at Richmond last week and also in the Daytona 500 in the season opener. Craig Franklin, Troy, thanks for tuning in also. Still on the commercial break following the caution that we are under. It's the first caution of Stage 2. Again, we were about 7 laps in after that restart when the caution flag had initially came out. And they're heading to the choose this time, and it looks like it'll be Reddick and Truex on the front row, Larson and Wallace in row 2, and then the RCR, or actually the Dillon brothers of Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon in row 3.
Larson just comes off the corner, and he's probably hearing late in his ear that the 41's got to run on the outside, and just that contact in the left front.
So during caution, Ryan came up to have a word. First on the inside, then he goes to the outside and makes a gesture toward Kyle Larson. Tony, maybe you can interpret for us.
Oh yeah, he's telling him how much he likes his new haircut, and he's really appreciative that his mom brought over cookies yesterday.
That's what you got out of that.
All right, here's what was said on the 41 radio.
Yeah, make sure you return the favor, because he should make mistakes like that, so I doubt it was. It was not a mistake. Yeah, and his spotter just told me he was telling him.
And an attaboy to our associate director who last night drove home after the truck race, drove to the hotel. This morning caught a ride to the track and got a phone call at noon. Would you please come back, Mr. Gross, and turn off your rental car? It's been running all night.
Oh, man. You just ran him over, Mike. Ran him over.
Sorry, Rich. Had to do it.
Guess he just wanted it to be warm when he got in it this morning.
Oh, it was.
Forgot to get in it.
The heater was running all night. Here we go. 85.
Sharitha Cooper and Erkins Victor, thanks for tuning into the stream. Also, lap 12 of stage 2 out of 75. Green flag back in the air. As it'll be Tyler Reddick again on the front row with Martin Truex Jr. A little bit of a stack up on that inside lane behind Truex, who couldn't get going on the bottom. Bubba Wallace with a slingshot to the outside, trying to get alongside Tyler Reddick, who quickly moved to the bottom. Can't quite get there. He will be able to clear the 19 of Truex that'll remain in second place. Ryan Preece and Kyle Larson battling for position again, and Preece able to get by Larson on the restart. First time we've seen Larson back in traffic today, and he's not able to pass any cars so far. 3 wide middle, Austin Dillon and Christopher Bell on the inside of Alex Bowman in a battle in the back half of the top 10. And we've got trouble with cars scattering around, it looks like, off of turn 2. Caution flag is out. I'm not sure exactly why there's a yellow. It doesn't look like anybody is completely turned. But there were definitely some cars scattering as if there was about to be an accident, but quick trigger maybe on the yellow. Michael McDowell got really loose, and oh, McDowell did spin. He recovered very quickly, but he was in front of the pack. And it doesn't look like anybody was in a dust bowl there. I should say it was a dust bowl. It's a surprise nobody made contact. Both with cars trying to miss McDowell and with McDowell who had spun in front of him. Off the exit of turn 2 is where Michael McDowell had lost control. Great wreck avoidance by everybody behind him. It looked like Keselowski also spun at the tail end of the field, locking his tires up, trying to keep it off somebody. So Keselowski had spun along with Michael McDowell, bringing out the caution. About 2 laps into the restart. Already 6 cautions in today's race. Saw 11 in the truck race yesterday. It was 100 laps shorter in distance. And caution filled in the early going of this race tonight. Zachary K. Kyle Busch, Fan 8, thanks for tuning in. Sarah, thanks for tuning in tonight as well. XX Larry, welcome to the stream. Top 10 following that restart. Tyler Reddick in the lead. Bubba Wallace second. Martin Truex Jr. third. Ty Dillon in fourth. Ryan Preece is fifth. Kyle Busch in sixth. Kyle Larson seventh. Ryan Blaney in eighth. Austin Dillon ninth. And Christopher Bell is 10th.
Bottom so bad.
It's Truex's radio.
Yeah, if you're spinning the tire, it'd be nice if we could get going. Oh yeah, for sure. If these clams up the back don't run into each other, it'll be okay.
And we're going to see a lot of contact. Here you're looking at the racetrack right here. We're seeing where these pockets are starting to open up a little bit right here. And that's just soft spots that develop, and it happens to every dirt track. It's something they've worked really hard at. This track crew has done an amazing job with this racetrack. But this is character, and this is something that, like we mentioned, if the racetrack keeps continuing to get slicker and slicker, those holes, sometimes the drivers will aim for that. It actually will catch the right rear, gives you a little bit of grip, helps you get where you're going.
Look how deep that hole is, though. Those are frame marks where the frame's been digging in above that. You can see that's a better picture of it there. It shows you how deep that hole it really is.
Yeah, these little spots right here, that's where the chassis is dragging, like you mentioned there, and that just tells you how deep it is. Christopher Bell's straddling it there.
And let's check with Jamie.
Well, I've talked about Joey Logano's issues tonight. He's back in 29th after the restart there. The top of the track had been watered down. He said it's like soup. He got into that and hit the wall, and he said he knocked the toe out just a little bit. So problems continuing for Joey Logano.
And during the break, we saw the water truck. We were watching from up here in the booth. The water truck did go out there and take the cushion, try to water. And the reason they do that, if you don't, and that race, as the race goes on, that dirt just continues to dry out. Then when those drivers do go to get in it later, it's too dry, it doesn't hold the car, and they blow through it and hit the wall. The hard part is when you water it, it's wet, it's greasy, it's not run in, and it also will do that too. So as this race goes on, the dirt and the drier dirt from the inside, the dust will go up there, and it'll tighten that dirt up there. Those guys will be back up in it in no time and get them to drive off of it again.
So we'll come to the choose this time. As you see from our choose drone, something we've never said on television before, right?
It's pretty smart. I'll give them credit on this one. It's well played.
And again, both the 2311s take the outside, and it's a mixed bag from there on.
Larson had enough of being on that bottom. He was mired in traffic behind Truex, and you heard Truex talking the struggles he was having. It was costing him. Now he's on the outside.
So here's one of Clint's Stage 2 questions. Which of these drivers will have the better finish by the end of Stage 2, and by how many positions? Bell and Briscoe right now are just one position apart.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm running out of money or something, Tony, because these questions keep getting harder and harder. That's a toss-up. I mean, both of those guys are plenty capable. Take your pick there.
Yeah, especially after you give them adjustments and time to work on their race cars, these guys will find their way back to the front.
Don't forget, fantasy locks at the end of Stage 2 for anybody playing, so be sure to keep an eye on your lineups throughout the course of today's race. They've added another lap, it looks like, to this caution flag period, so they'll be going green next time by. Front row on the restart again will be Tyler Reddick and Martin Truex Jr. Reddick on the outside will be the control car. Row 2 on the restart, Ryan Preece will be on the inside, Bubba Wallace to the outside, and in row 3, it appears that... I believe that is Ryan Blaney on the inside of row 3. And Ty Dillon up high. So Blaney and Preece were able to get by Larson on that last restart, as well as Kyle Busch. Larson lost a little bit of ground. Now that he's back in traffic for the first time, he's definitely been losing some track position. And the pace vehicle is now pulling on to pit road. So Toyota's leading the field to the green for the third straight restart. Again, Truex spins his tires down on the bottoms we've seen from everybody on the inside of the front row so far. An accordion effect behind him. But able to maintain their position still on the bottom all the way through turns 1 and 2. And Truex stays alongside Bubba Wallace again, but after about a lap, he can't hold on any longer. Wallace will be clear off of turn 4, and Ty Dillon looking to the outside of the 19, who quickly tried to pull up in front of him, but there wasn't enough of a gap, and now Ty Dillon's in a battle for third place. And everybody that had given up the track position at the end of Stage 1, still behind all 4 of the cars at the front. Daniel Suarez is around. No caution yet, looking to see if he's going to get back going in the right direction again. Joey Logano's slow with smoke pouring out of the back of his car. He's had a rough night. We continue to stay green, though. No caution for that spin at the tail end of the field. And it doesn't seem like there's any debris either, so we remain green after the Suarez spin and Logano having some contact with it. Almost 4 wide through turns 3 and 4. Larson nearly pinched between his teammate Bowman and then Chase Briscoe, who's on the outside of him. They're all battling for about 8th place on the racetrack. And Logano still trying to limp his way all the way back to pit road, and it looks like his night will end prematurely, or at least is going to lose multiple laps at the very least. Larson getting back by Christopher Bell on the outside, as well as Alex Bowman over that last lap. Preece tried to attack on the 77 of Ty Dillon, couldn't make the pass on the bottom. Busch to the outside of the 41 for 4th. And I think there's problems for A.J. Allmendinger in the 16, as he may have bounced off the wall off turn 4. And as a result, his right front tire is down on the rim. Allmendinger limps his car to pit road. Suarez about to go a lap down. He stayed on the racetrack after spinning, getting back going in the right direction. He is not that far in front of race leader Martin Truex Jr. If Truex catches him, that could be an interesting battle for the lead between the 19. I should say the 45 and the 23. Reddick is the leader. Truex still in third. But Suarez definitely not that far in front of the leaders. He's going to need a quick caution. Try to catch back up to the rear end of the field. Larson down on the bottom trying to get another position back as he battles Chase Briscoe. Ryan Blaney gets by Ryan Preece to the outside, who has struggled to get by Ty Dillon in the 77 still to this point. Briscoe going up the hill has to catch his race car. Christopher Bell almost got into him. Great job by Bell keeping it off as he dives to the bottom. Preece and Larson nose to tail. Kyle Busch makes the pass on the JGR Toyota of Martin Truex Jr. for third. Quickly closing in on Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick. Kyle Busch looking very sporty in this second stage as he battles Wallace for second. Preece is spun off the exit of turn 4, bringing out a caution. Tough break for Ryan Preece. He was running in the top 10 all race long. Was top 5 at the end of stage 1. I believe he's got a flat tire. Either a flat tire or toe link is broken on that 41 car of Ryan Preece. May have made contact with the outside wall. They're showing a replay. And Preece looks like he just lost control. I think his right rear actually was flat. No, it was not flat. Something broke on the 41. So something had broken on the 41 car, because if you were watching the replay, for those of you watching the race on Fox, it looked like the right rear tire was kind of moving, like swiveling side to side, like he might have broken a truck arm. So I don't know if he had made contact with the wall the lap before or the corner before, maybe with another car, but it definitely looked like something had broken on the 41 of Ryan Preece's car. It didn't look like the tire itself was down. And that is a tough break for Ryan Preece, who is having his best run of the season. Ronnie Grooms, thanks for tuning in. Smokey in the Pot, thanks for tuning in. How does 4 wide look? They made it, so that's one thing. Sid for Brains, welcome to the stream. And I believe this is the 7th caution of the race already tonight. Only 2 drivers have led. First 75 laps were led by Kyle Larson. Then when he pitted during the stage break, Tyler Reddick took the lead, and he has led every lap since. Just the 2 lead changes today as a result. I should say just the 1 lead change, technically. Larson started on the pole in this one after winning his heat yesterday. Your full field running order, middle of stage 2, will look like this. Tyler Reddick is in the race lead. Bubba Wallace is 2nd. Kyle Busch 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. 4th. Ty Dillon is 5th. Austin Dillon in 6th. Ryan Blaney 7th. Kyle Larson 8th. Christopher Bell 9th. And Chase Briscoe is 10th. Alex Bowman in 11th. William Byron 12th. Justin Haley 13th. Noah Gragson 14th. Ty Gibbs is 15th. 16th is Eric Almirola. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17th. Ty Gillen 18th. Austin Cindric 19th. And Ross Chastain is 20th. 21st is Chris Buescher. Harrison Burton 22nd. Daniel Suarez is 23rd. J.J. Haley 24th. Eric Jones 25th. Brad Keselowski 26th. Matt Crafton 27th. Kevin Harvick 28th. Denny Hamlin 29th. And Michael McDowell is 30th. 31st is Josh Berry. Jonathan Davenport 32nd. B.J. McLeod 33rd. 34th is Ryan Preece. A.J. Allmendinger 35th. Corey LaJoie 36th. And Joey Logano 37th. Logano, I believe, pulled off the racetrack with the mechanical issue, so he may end up with a last place finish today. Corey LaJoie had an unscheduled pit stop back in stage 1. He's 4 laps down. Ryan Preece just had something break on his car, so he may be out of the race. And then A.J. Allmendinger in the 16 had just hit pit road after a flat right front tire right before the caution flag came out with Ryan Preece, so he'll get a lap back here. But I believe he'll still be 1 lap down because he lost 2 laps during those green flag conditions. So again, this is our 7th caution. We've had just 2 leaders, 1 lead change. Larson has led the most and also won stage 1 tonight. Average race speed to this point, 53.3 miles per hour, just over 1 hour into this race. Yeah, it looked like a toe link broken. I noticed that from the replay that they showed right before the commercial break, that it appeared that when he was sliding sideways mid-spin, that the wheel was swiveling back and forth. It didn't look like the tire itself was down, so tough break for Ryan Preece.
But contact with Ty Dillon
sounds like
off turn number 2.
All right, contact with Ty Dillon then.
Is likely what caused that right there.
Oh, Kyle Busch got squeezed into the wall in that too.
Bam, 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 into the wall. I think it was a combination of both, if you had to ask me. I don't think his car was exactly right after the contact with the wall with Larson, and that finished it off. Got her fixed back up, though, on the racetrack.
All right, the votes have been tallied. You only voted once, right? For our pods, big move of the race. How about we vote twice? For Michael McDowell, here is the first one up off the corner. Spinning around, grabbing a gear. Look at those tires spinning. He's rolling. Quick on the caution light.
You showed me once.
But lesson learned, okay? He's going to spin it again. We're going to stay green and see if he can do it again. And yes, he did. That's your pod's big move of the race.
You show me once, I'm going to say maybe luck had something to do with it. You do it twice, I'm impressed. That was cool.
Well, and he upped the ante. He did it in the corner, which is even harder.
He is running 29th right now. No pit stops under these cautions because you're only allowed to change tires and add fuel at the stage breaks, unless, of course, a tire is flat, and then a NASCAR inspector must approve the change of just that tire.
Very surprised by Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe. Guys were extremely fast. Even Kyle Busch struggling to find the front nearly as fast as what I envisioned them doing. I think they're going to have a decision on their hands at the end of this stage 2. You might see some of them staying out when they were really thinking and planning on pitting.
All right, we're about 5 laps from halfway in stage 2, and here we come to the choose drone. .2311 cars to the top. As usual, Kyle Busch to the inside. He has been the first guy to the cushion on every restart, and he's going to start inside. Let's see how that works out. Here's some audio from Ryan Preece and company.
You know what I'm sick of? Tell me. Excuses. From now on, it's game over. I agree. I like it. There's got to be a repercussion for things or people are going to continue to do it, right?
And spotter Andy Houston and crew chief Chad Johnston.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it sounded a little agitated.
A little.
There's one thing that you hear that passion in Chad Johnston's voice. That was my second to last crew chief in the Cup Series, and Chad, I had a blast running with him, but he is passionate. He's fiery just like a driver, and if his driver's getting fired up, you can bet he's probably fired up too.
Joey Logano out of the race, winner here 2 years ago. But too much damage to continue. He's the only car out of the race. 2 laps down, Allmendinger and Preece. Corey LaJoie 3 laps down. Everybody else, 33 cars on the lead lap.
I'm also going to say Ryan Preece is kicking himself a little bit. I know he got put in the wall. There's no question about that. But just to barely, a fender on him right there in that situation, not even halfway through the race there, he's also wishing that, he would have been a little bit more patient in that seat and he'd still be a part of this conversation at the front of the pack.
All right, here we come to the Geico restart zone.
Green flag back in the air. Reddick leads the field to the green. Busch, the fresher tires down on the bottom of the racetrack for row 1 this time. Couldn't really get a good launch either. We haven't seen much tire fall off, so those drivers at the front of the field still hanging on right now. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, who stayed out. Truex has lost a spot, looking to lose another potentially to the other RCR Chevrolet of Austin Dillon. A lot of 3 and 4 wide racing further back in the pack. So they fanned out very wide through turns 3 and 4. Truex stuck in the middle and is finally starting to lose some spots. Austin Dillon making contact with Truex in the center of the corner allows Busch to pull clear on the outside. Ty Dillon still in the mix battling, and now Austin Dillon crowds the 12 of Ryan Blaney as he can't go anywhere with the 19 directly in front of him. Larson on the outside trying to pick him up and put him down as he gets to the outside of the 3 and the 12. Now going up the middle in between the 77 and the 3, backs out of the gas, realized that wasn't going to work off the exit of turn 2. Remains in the outside lane though, and now tries a slingshot down to the bottom. Bubba Wallace slid up the racetrack in front of Kyle Busch now. That backed those guys off. Busch up the middle, 3 wide for second off of turn 4. And then back to the outside as Wallace drops back down to the bottom again. Ty Dillon got really tight. He ends up in the wall off of turn 2. Got up into the cushion, and that sucked him into the outside wall. No chance to really recover there, and he has now fallen outside the top 10. Contact between Byron and Haley just behind them as they were trying to get organized after Dillon had gotten into the wall half a lap before. Kyle Busch passes Wallace for second on the outside. Truex is coming as well with a head of steam on the 23. And Kyle Larson trying to run down the 8 of Kyle Busch, who has made his way through the drivers on older tires. Ryan Blaney starting to do the same now. He's battling Austin Dillon for 6th. Truex going to get by Larson. Wallace, I should say. And now Larson trying to get by the 23, who was really struggling for grip off of turn 2. Larson slingshots to the bottom. Slide job through the rut in the middle of 3 and 4. And clears the 23. Couldn't slide all the way up, though, in front of him with the 19 of Truex right there. So he's going to stay on the bottom to middle groove again. He'll clear the 23 car this time as there's more separation behind Truex and the 19. Dillon and Blaney still side by side as they roll off into turns 1 and 2 as they lean on each other a little more. Bubba Wallace holding them up a little bit. Bell closing in quickly from behind. Blaney couldn't make the pass on Dillon. Dillon clears into the corner. Bell with a head of steam on the outside. Wallace in the wall right in front of Bell. Bell did a great job missing him to the inside. In doing so, though, he had to drop back in line behind Blaney and give up the battle there. Very next corner goes right after Blaney again to the inside. So both Ty Dillon and Bubba Wallace had gotten into the wall on those older tires since this most recent restart, dropping both of them outside the top 10. And now Noah Gregson's up into the wall. So a lot of drivers losing grip on the outside lane, overdriving the corner, or just not having the handling ability to run up there. And they are getting themselves into a little bit of trouble. Everybody's still hanging on, though. Haven't had a green flag run, really, of any in Stage 2 so far. And I think the longest of the race was about 20 laps back in Stage 1. Longest of the truck race last night was about 13 laps. They only had one green flag run that was longer than 10 the whole race. Big bounce off the turtle on the inside of the racetrack for Justin Haley. He almost washed up into the car to his outside. Kyle Larson is pulling away from Austin Dillon a little bit, but he's getting held up by Martin Truex Jr. He's trying to pass him on the inside the last couple corners. Couldn't get it done. Dillon moves to the inside now, battling Larson. Here's Jamie Little with Logano, who's out of the race.
It's an eventful race for the short amount of laps that we had to run. Got caught up and seemed like every wrecked in front of me. I got in the middle of it and then was going good and I got too high one time. And then, I don't know, they wrecked in front of me the last time and I hit him with the right front, broke the suspension, and then I clobbered the fence after that. So I think I had a pretty good Mustang that could probably run up there with them. I was able to drive through the field fairly quickly. Just, you get caught up in the garbage. When you get back there, it happens. And so, my fault we're back there in the first place, and that's what happens.
Thanks, Joey. Mike?
So Logano, first car out of the race, finishes 37th.
Saw a big-time slide job there by Larson. He'd had enough. It was time to go, though, because the 3-car, he jumped the cushion now into the wall. But he had to go, and he forced the issue there because the 3 was coming.
Christopher Bell in the 20 takes advantage.
I don't know if Larson and company made adjustments on that car, but it is not near as good as it was in that first stage.
Turn 2, spinners. And caution.
It's like Brad Keselowski around.
Brad has had a rough night.
That's the third time we've seen him have trouble, unfortunately.
He went a lap down early, got a free pass, got back on the lead lap, but he goes around and brings out his second caution of the night at lap 126.
So third time Brad Keselowski has spun today. It looks like that left front tire is pretty low on air. Maybe locked it up during the spin. Whether it was that or contact. Tough go for Keselowski, though, in the early going of this race. About halfway through it, he's already spun 3 times. Sean Royer, thanks for tuning in. For everybody watching right now, be sure to like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We're going to take a quick break here. When they come back from the commercial break, we will end up getting back with our live commentary coverage of the Food City Dirt Race at the Bristol Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying the coverage thus far. Don't forget to vote in the community tab if you haven't already at the start of Stage 3. So when the green flag drops to start of Stage 3, we'll close the poll. Ask you guys who you thought was going to win tonight's race. 101 votes have been casted so far. 48% say that Kyle Larson will win today's race. 24% say Kyle Busch, 21% at other, and 8% say Austin Dillon will win today's race. So we'll leave that poll up for a little bit yet, but thanks for everybody that have voted so far. Be sure to vote before the end. Billy Bob Jr., thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it is definitely a caution fest of a race so far. I believe that is our 8th caution of the day in the first half of this race. It's kind of like how the truck race was last night, honestly. Almost a carbon copy thus far. A lot of spins, but not a lot of vehicles getting damage, knocking them out of the race outside of Joey Logano, who is the only driver actually out of the race so far. It's still 32 cars on the lead lap. Glenn Collins, Landon Checo, also welcome into the stream. Tough night for a Brad Keselowski fan. One of my grandpas is a Brad Keselowski fan. And the other one's a Larson fan, so they've had kind of the best of both worlds a little bit so far tonight. Think they'll remove this race after this year? I mean, we'll see. I'm still for them going to a purpose-built dirt track. I'm all for them going to an Eldora. Knoxville hasn't really been the greatest. But granted, it was mainly just the truck series there, so I think the Cup Series could put on a little bit better of a show, but I'm all for them going to Eldora. I prefer 2 concrete races at Bristol just because Bristol's my favorite track the way it is. So that's definitely a biased take. That's just what I would prefer. God Rides a Harley, thanks for tuning in. And Race Sparky 388, also welcome to the stream.
What a battle here. What was going on just prior to this caution?
Kaga working the top really, really well there. Gets a run on Martin Truex. This is textbook slide job. Turns it underneath. He's basically cutting the corner off and then just drive it straight up the hill. Take the line away from Martin. That is as perfect as you could do that.
But then he hands it right back. He gets in the next corner. Awesome move, like you said. Get in this next corner, jumps a cushion, gets in the wall, hands it right back. That's what I love about dirt racing now. That's what it's all about. I mean, we talked about it in the pre-race, minimizing mistakes. And if that boy can make a mistake, anybody can.
Anybody can.
Regan?
Well, Mike, one of my favorite parts about this dirt race, if you look on top of the haulers in the middle of the infield, the crew chiefs are all standing up there, but in about 20 laps, when the caution comes out for the stage break, you will see these haulers empty out. Everybody comes running down to their pit stalls. They want to get eyes on their cars as quick as they can. That's very different than what we see on a normal week at the racetrack.
Whole different procedure here with the non-competitive pit stops during the stage breaks. The only time you can add fuel or change tires. Dillon trying to keep Tyler Reddick up high on these restarts.
Green flag back in the air. 19 laps to go in stage 2. Great launch by the top 3 cars on the outside of Reddick, Kyle Busch, and Kyle Larson. All getting by the 3 of Austin Dillon, who is on the inside of row 1 on the restart. Larson trying to crowd the 3 of Dillon now as they make contact in the center of the corner. Kyle Busch up on the outside, nearly gets sandwiched into the wall off turn 4. Contact now between Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson before entering the corner. Dillon washes up the track into the 5 again. Opening up the bottom for Christopher Bell. Martin Truex Jr. tucked on the outside with nowhere to go behind him. Ryan Blaney also in the mix following Bell on the bottom. Reddick up high. Not pulling away from the leaders on the restart this time. Both the RCR cars side by side for second behind them. Austin Dillon somehow hanging on that race car down to the bottom of the track. Definitely widening that lane out all the way through the middle. Not giving a lot of cars room to the outside. Eric Jones has spawned off of turn 4. But we do stay green as he recovers quickly. Kyle Busch going to get by the 3 of Austin Dillon on the front stretch. Gave a little bump draft to Tyler Reddick on the front stretch. And now the 45 may have went a little wider with that extra sort of speed going into the corner after the shot from Kyle. Now Busch with the crossover to the bottom. For the lead through turns 3 and 4, Kyle Busch is clear. Reddick with the crossover. And Larson tried a simultaneous slide job for third on Austin Dillon. He couldn't make the pass, and Bell's underneath him now, getting into turns 1 and 2 for position as well. Kyle Busch pins his car down to the middle in the center of the corner. He pulls back alongside Tyler Reddick. Up the hill they go. Contact made. Reddick almost into the wall. Just kept it off. Rides the cushion through the corner, and Busch is in the lead off turn 4. Crazy battle back and forth with slide jobs pulled by Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick. Busch pulls clear in the end with the battle. Slightly fresher tires, has had probably a little bit better of a race car so far today, and Busch is now in the lead for the first time. Late in stage 2, Larson trying to get his track position back as he rides behind Austin Dillon still, as he's been going back and forth for third place with the number 3. Justin Haley out of nowhere now, just inside the top 10 as he battles Bowman for 9th. Larson clipping the turtle down on the bottom of the track that time, trying to get underneath Austin Dillon. He's doing everything, lost a bit of ground as a result. 3 wide between Haley, Blaney, and Bowman in that battle for 9th place. Blaney up on the outside, Haley down to the bottom of the 48, not giving him a lot of drive off. Really pinning that 31. Clipping the turtles through the corner is Haley, as well as what we saw from Larson a little bit ago. That really hurts the drive off, it seems like, from those cars that do run a little bit too low down to the bottom of the racetrack, and Bowman is now cleared for 10th. Blaney was clear for 9th about the corner before. Battle for 2nd between Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick currently going on. Dillon slowly driving away from the 5 of Larson. Dillon 2 corners in a row went to the bottom of the track out alongside the 45, and by the exit, Reddick able to pull clear on the outside on the straightaways. Same thing happens at 3rd corner in the row there, but Dillon is persistent and again drives down to the inside lane. Kyle Busch slid up the track though, and Reddick had to change from the top to the bottom in the middle of the corner. 3 wide for the lead off turn 4. And Reddick is back out in front after the mistake from Busch. Reddick slides back to the outside lane of the racetrack, and here comes Austin Dillon for the lead. Reddick down to block in the middle of the corner. Now rides the middle. Dillon towards the bottom. Busch still up on the cushion on the outside. What a battle here from the restart. And now the RCR cars get together off turn 4. Austin Dillon making contact with Busch as he crowded the 8 car into the wall. Dillon is up to 2nd. Kyle Busch is slow on the backstretch as he's trying to regain his momentum now. His left front tire may be going down after the contact from Austin Dillon. The letters have been rubbed off of that left front tire. I'm not sure if the tire itself is down or not. Kyle Larson is now battling Busch for 3rd after Busch was leading just a few laps ago. And now it's Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon going for the lead with 7 laps left in stage 2. Busch slides up the track a little more. Kyle Larson is clear. Busch going to try to ride it out. We'll have pit stops coming during the stage break here in a matter of moments if he can just have that left front tire last about another 6 laps. Larson is clear of Busch. Didn't pull up soon enough in the center of the corner that time. Busch is now going to run the middle lane, trying to keep the 5 car behind him. Larson clear. Busch trying to cut the car down with the crossover. Now he's on the inside of the 5. Larson going to crowd the 8 car this time as they go off into turns 1 and 2. Larson slides up the track a little tight that time for the 5 car, it appeared. And remaining door to door is the 8 and the 5. Christopher Bell silently in 5th, watching the 2 cars battle in front of him for position. Larson a lot better run off turn 4 that time. Bell had a great run as well. Busch a lack thereof, and Christopher Bell will complete the pass for 4th on Kyle Busch. 164 beats per minute right now is what they're showing on the whoop meter for Christopher Bell, that he is wearing that for today's race. A lot of action has been going on in front of him. Reddick not pulling away really though from Austin Dillon as we're down to 3 laps to go in the stage. Playoff point on the line for the 45 and the 3. Reddick has a handful of them after that win at Coda a couple weeks ago. Also had a stage win in that race as well. Austin Dillon looking for his first stage win of the 2023 season. Larson is second, back in third. Is pulling away after Bell and Busch started battling for fourth behind him. Bell also now pulling away from Kyle Busch. Dillon took a peek to the inside of Reddick, couldn't get around him. Reddick all the way up on the cushion on the outside. Final lap, stage 2. Who will get the playoff point? Austin Dillon to the inside. Tyler Reddick up on the top. This will be to have the outside lane, more than likely on the front row if they stay out as well. Dillon's got one more shot to get him into 3 and 4. Reddick might have overdrove the corner on entry. Side by side to the exit of the corner. And there's almost contact as Dillon slides in line behind Reddick, and Tyler Reddick will win stage 2. Austin Dillon will finish in second in the second stage. Kyle Larson third, Christopher Bell fourth, Kyle Busch fifth, Chase Briscoe sixth, Martin Truex Jr. seventh, Ryan Blaney eighth, Justin Haley ninth, and Eric Almirola will round out the top 10. That was the best racing I think I have seen all night, all weekend, for that matter, that we saw from that restart with 14 to go all the way to the end of the stage. That was fun to watch. Fun to watch, fun to call. And we've got 100 laps still remaining. Corvette mode, thanks for tuning in. That went from this being a dud of a race to quickly, if we see more of that in the final stage, that'll drive the race rating up quite a bit. What a battle that those 4 cars put on for those final 14 laps. Reddick gets the last lap in winning the stage, but will he get the last lap in winning the race by race end? You're watching the Food City Bristol Dirt Race live on KRC tonight. We'll take another break and we'll have pit stops on the other side. And you have about 10 more minutes to vote in the poll right now. Larson is still favored at 47% in the voting poll in the chat to win tonight's race. 118 votes have been casted thus far. 25% say Kyle Busch will win. Austin Dillon at 8% and other at 21% of the votes so far. Our spotlight drivers to this point in the race. Reddick in the race lead. My win pick, Kyle Larson, is in third. Another one of those must-haves, Christopher Bell in fourth, and Kyle Busch and Fitz. All those guys in the top 5 right now. I'm telling you guys, the must-have picks have been great for me so far this year. And they're all in the top 5 right now. Once again. 18 and 5 for picking those guys to get top 10s this year. And we got 4 of them in the top 5 right now. The sleeper picks for tonight's race, Suarez spun earlier. He's recovered to 25th, but still he's been outside the top 20 all day. Who else? So then J.J. Yaley fell back to 29th, and he has not recovered after starting third. Had a good run in the heat race yesterday, but right from the start of this one, dropped back immediately in this race. And the don't have picks that I predicted to not have top 10 finishes at the very least at the end of the day. All 3 of them are outside the top 10 at the end of stage 2. William Byron 15th, Denny Hamlin 20th, Kevin Harvick 21st. I don't think Hamlin or Harvick have been inside the 20th place position all night long. Never skip the ads because I'm a real one. I appreciate that. I got to get them in. I have to get paid, for doing these on the weekend, obviously to make up for not working during the week, so have to put them in. We've got quite a few drivers staying out of the pits here. Looks like about 7 or 8 cars stayed off of the pit lane, and they will get the restart towards the front of the field. I definitely know the drivers that pitted of Truex, Wallace, Ty Dillon, and then Tyler Reddick are going to have to pit for fuel, so it was guaranteed that Reddick was going to have to pit during the stage break even after winning the last stage. Regine Huddleston, thanks for tuning into the stream as well. Matthew J. Perry, welcome to the stream. Fantasy is locked up. I've got Yaley in my garage, obviously, so pretty easy. I've got Larson, Reddick. Oh, no, I should have put... Wait, I might have a chance still. Oh, I did. I had to put Yaley in. I forgot Logano was out of the race. I had Logano on my team. I'm glad I noticed that. I think it'll lock when they go racing. Yeah, I had to take Logano out. He's going to finish last today. Only driver out of the race so far. They're watering the racetrack. Well, probably won't be using Yaley the rest of the season, so. Bonus pick's looking good so far. A lot of racing still to go, though.
I actually am like, man, I really wish I was out there tonight.
Looks like fun. Let's check with Josh.
Yeah, let's get an update of the 45 of Tyler Reddick, your Stage 2 winner. Involved in an absolute battle, holding off Austin Dillon towards the end of that stage. He said the car right now just a little too tight, especially if he's trying to run the bottom, if he wants to be able to hold off those guys. So they said, we'll give you a little bit of adjustment to help you go for this win. Jamie?
And Austin Dillon, Tony Stewart was talking about it, an aggressive Austin Dillon tonight with a great car. His only main complaint in the second stage was that he's no good on restarts. Gave up a handful of positions, but car's good enough. He was able to bounce back. He also apologized to his teammate. Didn't mean to get into him earlier in this run. And Kyle Busch, his teammate in the 8th there, said he's just too loose. No rear grip at all, especially in 3 and 4, so they're going to try to tighten him up. A lot of tightening up happening down here still, Regan.
Well, Jamie, Kyle Larson, he came to the pits this time, and very interesting conversation as he did. He came in and said, I really want to leave the tires on the car that are on it, so they are not going to change these tires. They're going to leave the older tires on it. This was purely a pit stop for fuel for them, basically, to make sure they can make it to the end of the race. And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., his race car has been tight, trying to get through the bumps. That's his biggest complaint, as well as not being able to run the bottom because it's too loose, just trying to find that line that he wants to work a little bit better on as they go.
Thanks, Regan. All but 9 cars stopped here at the end of Stage 2. That is we're wiping the windshield from the outside and the inside there with a little Swiffer there. That is the story from Ram Pit Road. Some sad news to pass along in the dirt track and sprint car world. Last night at Lawrenceburg, Indiana Speedway, the defending track champion Justin Owen was qualifying his USAC sprint car, which bicycled down the back straightaway, got into the wall, and then into a series of violent flips that he could not survive. The rest of the program was canceled, and our condolences to the friends, family, and team of Justin Owen, who was 27.
Yeah, sad news to pass along. I had actually seen that after the truck race was over last night. It took place, as Mike Joy mentioned, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It was a USAC midget race event, wingless sprint car event. It's kind of like the second tier dirt racing series behind the World of Outlaws. Very similar to if something were to happen to somebody in, say, like the NASCAR Xfinity Series as far as the dirt racing level goes. So definitely a higher level of racing. But, yeah, some sad news there. Kel Yarborough, I've heard, is hospitalized right now as well. So thoughts and prayers also with him and his family. Hopefully he can get better also. Just goes to show that even in a day and age in 2023 where racing is safer, the cars are safer across any sort of motorsports series, are way safer now than they've ever been in any sort of form of motorsports over the years. It still goes to show how inherently dangerous it is even to this day that something like this still takes place. So just remember that whenever you go to a race or you're watching a race and you're somebody that, may be a casual fan, you might root for accidents. We've seen even drivers in the Cup Series in recent years getting, dinged up, getting hurt. And you never want to see that. You want to see your favorite drivers, your favorite athletes, performing. And at the very least, you'd like to see them, on their own 2 feet at the end of a race. And definitely sad for what had happened to Mr. Owen last night. In a change of mood here to try to keep the Stream going in a positive direction. The stage break was currently our 9th caution of the race. Had 3 different leaders so far. 5 lead changes, still 32 cars in the lead lap. Now, Ryan Preece will actually be the 33rd car in the lead lap. He had gotten the free pass during the stage break, and had also gotten the free pass during the Keselowski spin before that, so he has come from 2 laps down to there. He was in the top 10 in the early going. If he doesn't have too much damage after they got that toe leg fixed under the caution before that, it'll be interesting if he can get back into this race.
Didn't take tires. They pitted and elected not to take the tires. I don't know about that call, Tony. There's something that he felt and he liked about, obviously, on this set, but boy, I've never heard that before.
Well, it's definitely not a tire wear issue for sure. I mean, as the track gets slick, it's not abrasive like we mentioned earlier, but there's something about this set that Kyle likes. And I agree with you. I don't know if it's just with stickers and the low air pressure, if he didn't like the soft feel of it and it got better as the time went on. But it's interesting, and we need to find out if he actually took fuel, because now adding the fuel back there with those tires, it may unbalance the car again. So it may have been fuel burn off, or it may have been air pressure buildup.
Well, without a doubt, it's a different strategy, and it's something we're going to have to pay attention to.
Well, if he liked those tires, is there a risk if you put new ones on that there'll be a different stagger, or just behave differently?
Like I said, keep an eye on that car. There's something different going on there. Keeping those tires on that car was definitely a different strategy that I've ever seen.
So Austin Dillon and Kyle Larson rack up the most stage points tonight. Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell also over 10 points tonight. Here's a look at what's coming up for NASCAR on Fox.
We're counting down the days until NASCAR hits the pavement at the paperclip. Short track, what the hell was that? Shorter tempers, and always one hell of a show. It's Martinsville, and you won't want to miss a second. Starting at 2 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
And joining us in Martinsville will be 2000 Series Cup champion Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart. We'll be back in the booth for Talladega.
It's going to be fun having Bobby in the booth. Looking forward to that. Champion driver, always fun to hear his vantage point. It's going to be a fun one. Martinsville's fun. Favorite racetrack, right up the road from the house. Beautiful drive, especially this time of year. Cannot wait to get up there.
Got your last win there, right?
Yeah. So, all right, let's set the stage. Reddick proved to us staying out was the name of the game in that last stage. Was able to not only hold on, he lost it and then passed Kyle Busch back for the win. Now, can Christopher Bell do the same thing?
Yeah, now Tyler Reddick will restart 10th. Christopher Bell was 4th. There's the Toyota Cam on Bell's car. He will be the race leader. Chase Briscoe was 6th at the end of stage 2. He's now 2nd. Eric Almirola was 10th. He's now 3rd. Todd Gilliland was 14th. He's now 4th. William Byron was 15th. He's now 5th. Michael McDowell, twice through the spin cycle tonight already, was 18th. Denny Hamlin was 20th. Josh Berry 22nd. And Ross Chastain was 23rd. So they will all move up in the running order and start ahead of Tyler Reddick, the driver who was leading at the end of the stage. So, with 5 of our dirt track experts up front, here are some of the drivers who came in tonight with very strong dirt racing backgrounds. In their younger days, Ricky Stenhouse, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell celebrating a win, as was a very young Chase Briscoe and an even younger Kyle Larson.
I like that for sale sign on the side of Briscoe's car. That's a good way to sell one.
Yep.
Park that baby in Victory Lane.
Well, they were selling it because they were buying a bigger race car.
Right. They're the lap leaders tonight. 100 laps to go.
Still a lot of racing left. Took the words right out of my mouth, Mike. I love that. Gonna have to be careful. If you're a Kyle Larson, Reddick, these guys that have to get up through the field, there's a lot of guys that haven't seen the front of this pack all night long. Now they're up front.
Quick word from Larry. Larry, do you like Kyle Larson keeping those same tires?
You know, Kyle Larson has forgot more about dirt racing than I'll ever learn the rest of my life. I can't for the life of me understand that. And to your point, maybe it's the air pressure. Maybe it's just the fact of stickers versus scuffs. But I'm totally confused over that one. But you know what? We'll know here over the next 100 laps.
100 laps of racing to go. Green flag back in the air. Contact off the start as they got going between Christopher Bell and Todd Gilliland, who were on the front row. And Christopher Bell battling for the race lead at the front of the field with Chase Briscoe, who had also stayed out of the pits. Briscoe to second, getting by Almirola and Gilliland, who were underneath him. Josh Berry trying to go up the middle, 3 wide between William Byron and Michael McDowell, as 9 drivers had stayed out of the pits during the stage break to restart in front of those that pitted. Contact between Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson getting into turns 3 and 4. 4 wide, Blaney to the inside of all of them, as they funnel down the front stretch down to 2x2 amongst them. Larson back to the inside of the 3 of Austin Dillon. Surprised he had as good of a run off the exit of the corner with how many cars that were underneath him. Great job by Larson. Not able to really make the pass on Austin Dillon. So Larson pitted but did not take tires during the stage break like everybody else did. So that is very interesting. And we'll see how he'll be able to get through the field. Though we didn't really see tire fall off in that second stage. We'll see if that'll be the case here. Larson is the first of those drivers that did hit pit road. Him and Austin Dillon. Dillon obviously the one on the fresher tires. Denny Hamlin on the outside lane. Denny working that outside right in front of the RCR cars of Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch. Larson has gotten underneath of them both. Christopher Bell's out to about 0.8 of a second lead over Chase Briscoe at second. Eric Almirola is in third place. Ty Gilliland fourth. Josh Berry fifth. Michael McDowell sixth. Ross Chastain seventh. William Byron 8th, Denny Hamlin 9th, and Austin Dillon is the top 10 right now. 95 laps to go. Larson still on the inside of Hamlin, and he goes around. Larson has spun off of turn 4, and this is going to bring out a caution. Maybe the favorite to win the race after dominating earlier has not gotten the lead since losing track position at the start of stage 2. Has just spun out. Into the tail end of the field he goes with 95 laps. And counting down remaining now under this caution, our 10th caution of the race. He's lost it on the bottom. I don't know if he hit the turtle on the inside, or what the case was there, but a tough break. Side-by-side commercial break right now for Fox. And we'll take a quick break ourselves, as we will end the poll in the chat right now at 139 votes. Your guys' favorite is Kyle Larson to win at 44%. He just went for a spin in the top 10 all night. Kyle Busch at 24% was second on the voting poll there. Other at 23% and 7% for Austin Dillon. Yeah, that was my pick to win. Tough break. He just lost it all on his own. Maybe wishing he would have taken tires. Just saying. Interesting call there, to say the least. Oof. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to come back from that. So again, this is our 10th yellow of the evening. If you haven't done so already, be sure again to hit that like button on the stream and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We're in the final stage. 101 likes on the stream so far. Let's see if we can get that up to 150 before the end of this one tonight. That'll be our goal. 150 likes for tonight's stream. Over 2/3 of the way there, as we're just past 2/3 of the way through the race. It's like Kyle Larson on his way to pit road right now, maybe to change those tires after the spin. Austin Cindric on his way in as well. Letters definitely rubbed off of the left side tires. And they will not change tires. They can't unless those tires are punctured in any way or have any sort of debris on them. And that was not the case there. But at the rear end of the field now, might as well have came down to check just to be safe. I'm curious to know if that was a Larson call. I would have to imagine Kyle Larson was the one that made the call to not change tires. I doubt the crew chief made that call. I feel like Larson being the dirt ringer that he maybe was thinking of something outside the box of, hey, maybe let's keep these tires on. It doesn't make any sense when you're going to keep your track position. For those that had pitted, he wasn't going to lose any spots by taking tires other than the spots of those 9 cars that stayed out. Those drivers that did stay out can make it on field to the end of this race. Hopefully we do get more green flag racing. That finish of stage 2 was definitely the best we have seen so far today. And honestly, just some great dirt track racing in general was shown right there at the end of stage 2. Show Christopher Bell doing a donut after winning a chili bowl. I guess he flipped in the process of doing that. I'm assuming he owns his own team on that side of things. So I guess he would have to pay for his own damages. I would hope so in that situation. Bell and Gilliland going to be on the front row for the restart again. They made contact when they were getting through the Geico restart zone the last time. And we'll see if that'll be the case again here. Much better launch for Gilliland on the bottom, but still to no avail. Could keep up with the first car on the outside. That has been the case all weekend throughout the truck race and here all tonight in the cup race as well. But we are back to racing. Christopher Bell is out in front. Chase Briscoe is clear for second place. Big bump from behind to the back of Todd Gilliland from Josh Berry in the 9 car, who washes up towards the outside, battling around 5th. It's going to be interesting to see what Larson could do coming from the rear of the field after bringing out the last caution due to a spin. Now he's in the eye of the storm where we've seen most of the wrecks happen in the back half of the field. I don't think we've really seen many spins inside the top 10 other than Larson just moments ago and then Ryan Preece back in stage 2. Spun while he was in the top 10. Every other spin we've seen tonight has been from outside the top 10. Visibility has to be a lot less back in the pack, you'd imagine, than the front, which definitely factors in. Less experience for a lot of those drivers in dirt racing and just the handling of their vehicles as well on dirt. Combination of all those maybe causing all the accidents with the contact. Austin Dillon slinging his car to the inside of Michael McDowell as they battle for 7th place on the track. So after that Larson spin, Austin Dillon is now the highest running of anybody who had hit pit road during the stage break. Bounces off the 34 of Michael McDowell as they run side by side on the front stretch. Denny Hamlin going backwards, just not able to hold on to that track position like a lot of the other drivers in front of him are, and Byron starting to lose some spots as well. Reddick, Blaney, Busch, and Austin Dillon have all passed the 11. Now they're working on the 24 and the 34. Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon leaning on each other a little more in a battle for 6th. And about a 0.6 of a second gap right now between two dirt ringers at the front of the field of Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe. Full field running order right now with 83 laps left. Bell is in the lead. Briscoe second. Almirola third. Todd Gill in 4th, and Barry is 5th. Austin Dillon in 6th place. William Byron in 7th. Kyle Busch 8th. Michael McDowell 9th. Ross Chastain is 10th. Ryan Blaney in 11th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 12th. Tyler Reddick 13th. Justin Haley 14th. And Martin Truex Jr. is 15th. Alex Bowman 16th. Bubba Wallace 17th. Ty Dillon 18th. Chris Buescher 19th. And Kevin Harvick is 20th. Denny Hamlin has spun out right off the exit of turn 2. He gets into the wall at the right rear. 3 wide, trying to miss him down to the bottom as he gets going back in the right direction again. And as long as he doesn't have a toe link issue, he'll keep that race car on the track as we continue to stay green. Outside the top 20, Noah Gragson's at 21st, Eric Jones 22nd, Ryan Preece 23rd, Kyle Larson 24th, and Harrison Burton is 25th, Ty Gibbs 26th, Daniel Suarez 27th, J.J. Haley 28th, Jonathan Davenport 29th, and Brad Keselowski is 30th. 31st is Matt Crafton, B.J. McLeod 32nd, Austin Cindric 33rd. 34th place is Denny Hamlin after just spinning. A.J. Allmendinger 35th, 36th is Corey LaJoie, and Logano still the only car out of the race, and 37th is where he'll finish tonight. Kyle Busch making 3 wide move up the middle between Ross Chastain and Michael McDowell. Chastain gave a push to the 8 car on the front stretch. Busch carries into turns 1 and 2. Riding up on the cushion, keeps it off the wall. What a move by Blaney up the middle now between Chastain and Stenhouse. Crowds the 1. Chastain had to lift. Into the middle of the next corner as they try to hang on. Ryan Blaney gets a little bit sideways in the center of the corner. Speaking of sideways, Chastain's got a handful of his race cars struggling. A lot of back and forth movement. To a certain extent, you have to do that, but you still want to keep the wheel as straight as possible, similar to asphalt racing. The more you're having to go back and forth with the left to the right with the steering wheel, the more speed you're going to scrub off. It's one thing to turn right to go left and lean on the right front, but not necessarily moving it back and forth like this. That's not really getting the job done. And Chastain falling backwards as a result. Has been outside the top 20 all day till staying out of the pits during that last caution. .75 laps to go this time by. Kyle Larson is around again, gets sideswiped by another car at the tail end of the field. Another caution. And the second in a row for the 5 of Larson. And I wonder if Ryan Preece had anything to do with it. Because he was around Larson at the time of the spin. Ryan Preece trying to slide job on Larson. Didn't clear him. There was a little bit of contact, and Preece just ran Larson up into the wall. And then it looked like Larson turned down into the 41, going into the corner as a result, and he ended up turning himself back across the track into the outside wall. So tempers have boiled over, it looks like, between Ryan Preece and Kyle Larson, as this will bring out our 11th yellow of the race. Remember, back at stage 2, Kyle Larson had squeezed Ryan Preece into the wall when they were battling for 4th place on the racetrack at the time. Right at the start of stage 2, Preece got into the wall, and then about a lap or 2 later ended up having contact with another car, which broke the toe link of the right rear. He went 2 laps down, was able to get back on the lead lap with all the cautions we've had today due to free passes being awarded to the first car a lap down. There hasn't been a long enough green flag run to get into lap traffic at all today. Yeah, that was on Larson. Well, it was on Larson for spinning. Obviously, Preece did crowd him into the wall, but that was definitely retaliation from earlier after Preece had gotten stuffed into the wall by Larson. It was the first chance Preece really had a chance to get back after him. And Larson going to have to come back down on the pit road for some more repairs. Mark Thomason, thanks for tuning into the stream today. Patrick Shanley, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the congrats on the 4K subs as well. Thank you for being one of them. Under the hood of the 5 car right now, they're going to work. They'll change the left rear tire at least. Maybe checking the toe link of the race car, potentially. And then it was Jonathan Davenport in 13 that had sideswiped Larson when Larson had spun up towards the wall. So they're checking the right side of Davenport's race car. Denny Hamlin back onto pit road. He's got a lot of damage to the right front. That was from an earlier accident. Larson going to lose a lap or two, it looks like, on pit road during this caution, as Christopher Bell maintains the lead. It's going to be tough to beat the rest of the way. Looks like Matt Crafton also on pit road, checking some air pressure maybe in the 51. Yeah, it took Larson to win, and it looks like he is pulling into the garage, so Larson's night is done. If we get an interview, which I'm sure we will, you guys will get to listen into that. He's probably going to be frustrated with the 41, but I'd have to imagine that was retaliation for Preece making contact with Kyle Larson earlier in the day. I should say Larson making contact with Preece earlier in the day, and the retaliation was from Preece to Larson moments ago. Yeah, that was my pick to win. That's the first time my win pick is not finished in the top 10 this season. First time they didn't finish in the top 5 was last week at Richmond when I took Bowman to win, took Larson to win this week. And won stage 1, it was looking good, but once he was back in traffic, he could never get back to the lead. The car was fast when he was out in front, but when he was in traffic, he couldn't pass cars like we've seen other drivers be able to make passes in the field. Larson was not, and then he spun on his own, put himself back in this situation where Ryan Preece seemingly just kind of paid him back. Unfortunately, in that situation, Jonathan Davenport was an innocent bystander and sideswiped the right rear, which I believe probably broke the toe link on the 5 of Larson's car. Larson's out of his car. In that garage area, looks like they're doubling up, and they'll probably be getting the 1 to go signal to restart this next time by. AJ Allmendinger got one of his 2 laps back with that caution flag coming out. He's still 1 lap down in 33rd. No, he didn't tag Larson. He crowded him up into the wall off of turn 2. He didn't, spin him out. It almost looked like Larson tried to door slam the 41, getting down into turn 3 again, and he ended up spinning himself in the process after Preece had crowded him into the wall the corner before. But again, that was after contact from Larson to Preece earlier in the race. You'd have to imagine. Gillen going to try the front row of the restart on the inside again. Of course, Bell up high. Green flag back in the air. Gillen gets a decent launch that time, and down in the first turn, Bell's still going to be clear as it moves to the inside. Kyle Busch riding up on the cushion on the outside of Michael McDowell and Josh Berry. 69 laps to go in the restart this last time through. Gillen sliding up, going to lose a spot, it looks like, to Briscoe, who gets back into second, and Austin Dillon on those fresher tires down at the bottom, challenging Gillen for third. Looking to make the pass on him. They've cleared the 10 of Almirola and the 9 of Josh Berry already. Austin Dillon picking up about 2 to 3 spots on the restart already through the rut in turns 3 and 4. The 38 and the 3 bouncing violently. Austin Dillon is almost clear. Wanted to move up, gave the 38 a little bit of room as he was still hanging on that right rear corner panel down the front straightaway. Almirola may be overdriving turns 3 and 4 a little bit down on the bottom lane. Lost the nose of his race car. Still holding Kyle Busch and Josh Berry behind him. Busch with the run off the corner, turns down. Nearly turned himself off the 9 of Berry. Surprised he was actually able to get to the bottom. Now slides up into the door of Almirola. Almirola scrapes the wall off of turn 4. Side by side into turn 5. Big bounce in the rut for Busch. He hit that pothole in the middle of turns 3 and 4, which crowded the 10 car into the wall for the second straight lap. Definitely knocking those cars sideways in the middle of the corner. When they hit that, there's a little bit of a pothole on both ends of the track, but the one in turns 3 and 4 seems to be a little bit deeper, a little bit worse than in turns 1 and 2. Christopher Bell still a half a second ahead of Chase Briscoe in second place. Austin Dillon in third, 9/10 of a second off the lead. Todd Gillen in fourth, 1.7 back. Kyle Busch is fifth, 2.2 seconds off the lead. Josh Berry in sixth, 2.9 seconds off the lead. Eric Almirola 7, 3.8 seconds back. Michael McDowell in 8th, 3.9 back. Tyler Reddick back up to 9th place after winning Stage 2. He's 4 seconds off the lead. And for the first time today, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the top 10 in 10th place, 4.2 seconds off the lead as well. Stenhouse passed a lot of cars back at Stage 1, and he fell backwards a little bit at Stage 2, and now getting in the top 10 for the first time, gaining even more spots to start this third stage. And he was not one of the drivers that had stayed out either, so he's actually one of the few cars passing drivers from the restart. Ross Chastain goes around for a spin off of turn 4. He gets going back in the right direction again. We continue to stay green as the field had split around him. Briscoe is railing in the 20 of Christopher Bell, about to make this a battle for the race lead. Stenhouse in the process of trying to get by Tyler Reddick for 9th on the racetrack. Still working the bottom. Reddick up on the outside. He's got the 10 of Almirola up high, maybe holding him up, and that could allow Stenhouse to work the bottom and potentially get around both cars. Not only Briscoe's closing in on Christopher Bell, but Austin Dillon within a second of the lead as well. 3-car breakaway at the front of the field. Todd Gillen in 4th. Remember, Gillen won the truck race at Knoxville last year, so he has won a dirt race before in NASCAR, just trying to win at the Cup level, and he is still hanging on in 4th on the older tires himself. The only positions he's been losing on these restarts is because he lines up on the inside of row 1, just can't keep up with the top 2 or 3 cars that are on the outside every time. It'd be interesting to see if he can actually hang on to a top 5 finish, though. Kyle Busch still a little over half a second behind him in that 5th place spot. Briscoe closing even closer now to Christopher Bell, as he was a bit quicker than him that last lap again. 58 laps to go. Bell goes to the outside. He was running the bottom. And then Briscoe went to the top, the same as Bell that time through turns 3 and 4. Briscoe very close to win last year at this racetrack. Here's Kyle Larson with Regan Smith.
Again, off of turn 2, continued down the straightaway. What caused it to continue down the straightaway?
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing he was paying me back for whatever I did earlier and ran me straight in the fence, and my car was broke and ended up crashed. So, yeah, it sucks, but I should just be mad at myself for spinning out earlier and putting myself back there. So, it just sucks.
Thanks, Scott.
Kyle Larson, quite a fit.
Down to 55 laps to go. During that interview, it looked like Bell opened the lead up just a little bit. Josh Berry going to make a pass for 7th place on Eric Almirola in the 10. Stenhouse still trying to get by the 10 car of Almirola. They both got by Michael McDowell in recent laps, it appears. Berry trying to go for back-to-back top 10 finishes. Again, finished 2nd to Larson at Richmond last week. And he is the highest running Hendrick Chevrolet in this race after Larson out of the race, and then Byron and Bowman have pretty much been outside the top 10 all day. Austin Dillon still working the middle to bottom lane while the top 2 cars in front of him up on the cushion. We haven't had a long enough green flag run to see any lap traffic today, but if we continue under green flag conditions here, that could come into play. It'll be very interesting to see how that could shake up the battle for the race lead with these top 3 cars that are still within a second of each other at the front. Last 2 or 3 laps, Chase Briscoe a little bit slower than Christopher Bell again. And Austin Dillon maybe a little bit quicker than the 14 of Chase Briscoe on the bottom. Once Briscoe moved to the outside, he doesn't seem to be as quick as the 20, but he was gaining ground while both him and the 20 were down on the inside. Bell working well for himself up on the top, one of the few drivers that has actually been able to ride the cushion to success throughout the course of this one. 51 laps to go. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up to 8th place. He did get by Eric Almirola, who actually fell back to 14th somehow. So Almirola losing quite a bit of track position. Ryan Blaney now battling for that 8th place position with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse moving up to that outside lane the last couple laps as well. Now back down to the bottom, so continuously changing his lane. Hit the turtle on the inside of turn 1, bounced up the racetrack. Blaney getting a run now off the exit of the corner. And Ryan Blaney dives to the bottom looking for the slide job. Meanwhile, we have a spinner, and that would be Noah Gregson in the 42, sorry. So Noah Gregson has spun for the first time today in the 42 car. Another spin outside the top 10. Like he had bounced into the wall off of turn 4, and I think the toe link may have been broken because he was wiggling back. Yeah, it definitely looks like it was broken. So I think after getting into the wall off turn 4, it broke the toe link on the right rear of the 42 of Gregson's car, and he was sideways all the way down the front stretch. And he's still sideways under caution, trying to keep control of the car. So that may end the day for the 42 team. They can't get it fixed. They'll be under the damaged vehicle policy clock after bringing out the caution, so they'll only have 6 minutes to try to make the repair to that race car. That was maybe the longest green flag run of the day. It was pretty close to it, if it wasn't it. I think we went over 20 laps during a green flag run for the first time all race. And we'll see if we have more of that coming up. So we're going to get another Stage 3 restart. Christopher Bell in the lead right now. Again, Chase Briscoe is in second place. Austin Dillon is third. Ty Gillen fourth. Tyler Reddick is fifth. Kyle Busch in sixth. Josh Berry seventh. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is eighth. Ryan Blaney ninth. And Michael McDowell is 10th. Alex Bowman in 11th. Justin Haley 12th. William Byron 13th. Eric Almirola 14th. Martin Truex Jr. is 15th. Chris Buescher at 16th. Bubba Wallace 17th. Kevin Harvick 18th. 19th is, looks like actually Harvick fell back to 21st for whatever reason there. So Daniel Suarez 17th, Denny Hamlin 18th, Bubba Wallace 19th, Ross Chastain's 20th, Kevin Harvick 21st, Harrison Burton 22nd, Ryan Preece 23rd, Ty Dillon 24th, Ty Gibbs 25th, Eric Jones 26th, Brad Keselowski 27th, J.J. Yeley 28th, Austin Cindric 29th, B.J. McLeod 30th. 31st is A.J. Allmendinger. He will get the free pass to get back on the lead lap now. Noah Gragson will be 32nd, may end up having an end to his day. Corey LaJoie 33rd, Matt Crafton 34th, Larson out of the race 35th, Jonathan Davenport I believe is also out 36th, and then Joey Logano will finish last today also out of the race. So that is the full field rundown here in this final stage. Riley 1645, Philip, thanks for tuning in. Going for 100 cautions. It may feel like that, doesn't it? Almirola on pit road as well, changing the right rear tire to that race car. Or maybe checking the toe link potentially as well. I don't know if he had gotten into the wall. He was battling for 8th with Stenhouse, then all of a sudden he was back in 14th. Both the Trackhouse cars of Chastain and Suarez also on pit road. And they're definitely doing some welding underneath the right rear of the 10 car. Sure to hit the like button, the thumbs up on the stream, as well as subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't yet. Our goal tonight was 150 likes. We're at 111 right now with about 45 laps to go. Heading to the choose this time, so they'll get the 1 to go the next time by. Bell and it looks like Briscoe will be on the front row for the restart this time, so Chase Briscoe will not take the outside of row 2. Where Briscoe's been lining up on the outside of row 2 for all these restarts leading up to this one right now. So here they come to the 1 to go signal. And then row 2 on the restart, it looks like Tyler Reddick will be on the inside. Austin Dillon on the outside. Row 3 will be Kyle Busch and Todd Gilliland. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Josh Berry in row 4. Then Michael McDowell and Ryan Blaney in row 5. So that will be the top 10 for your restart with 43 laps to go in the Food City Bristol Dirt Race. Almost 2 hours into this one so far tonight. Appreciate everybody watching all the way throughout our coverage. So we'll take you to the end here. Live commentary streams for next week for the Truck Xfinity and Cup Series. They'll all be at Martinsville. Friday night for the Truck Race. Saturday night for the Xfinity Race. And then the Cup Race Sunday afternoon. Start times I will announce at the end of the stream for next week's races. Just because I don't know the start times for any of the races. I didn't look ahead. So I have those start times available at the end of the stream tonight after our post-race show. Green flag back in the air. Christopher Bell again getting the launch on the outside. No surprise. We've seen that all day long. Briscoe, though, down on the bottom trying to show a little bit of power. Looking to finesse his way to the inside of Christopher Bell. And Briscoe maybe did the best job of any so far on the inside of the restart, but still to no avail, can get underneath and stay underneath the 20. Reddick, who was on the inside behind the 14, got stuck behind him as a result. Todd Gilliland to his outside as they battle for 4th. 45 and the 38 still door-to-door in the middle of the corner. Contact made as Gilliland maybe holding the 45 a bit too tightly. Austin Dillon slipping by up high. He is all clear. Now they're 3 wide into the middle of the corner. Dillon got tagged by the 38. Didn't give Todd Gilliland much room. He was almost sandwiched. And now we've got a battle for the lead at the front of the field between Christopher Bell and Chase Briscoe with 40 to go. Side-by-side contact off of turn 2. Bell holds on to the lead. Reddick washes up almost into the wall off of turn 2. Austin Dillon with the slide job to try to get around him in turns 3 and 4 for the third place spot. Couldn't clear him. Reddick still at the outside of the 3. 4 wide on the front stretch in the back half of the top 10 around Busch, Berry, Blaney, and Stenhouse. Blaney gets a push from behind by Berry, who is door-to-door and making contact with Busch all the way down the back straightaway. Rubbin's racing right now. Stenhouse, Blaney side by side. Berry bounces off the wall off turn 4, bounces into Busch, keeps it going. We continue to stay green. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr., if he can clear Ryan Blaney, will move into his race-high 6th place position. A recovery after last week. He was running in the top 5 at Richmond at stage 1 before a mechanical issue in the early going of the race. Dropped him out and into a last place finish as a result. He couldn't clear Josh Berry off the exit of turn 4 after Blaney had cleared the 47. There was contact made, and Stenhouse in the next corner was finally able to clear Berry. Luckily, Berry didn't get squeezed into the wall like Priest did from Larson earlier in the race. They continue to drive on. No major problems. Battle for the lead also continues on. Reddick, by the way, was able to get by Austin Dillon for 3rd, and he is closing in on Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell. Reddick is the highest running driver of those that pitted for tires during the stage break. He is running down the 20 and the 14 who are battling for the lead. It was Briscoe and Reddick who were battling for the win last year before wrecking on the last lap, last corner, and Kyle Busch went on to victory lane. Will we see a similar finish again in this one? Stenhouse not done with his battle yet on Ryan Blaney. He'll try again for 6. Blaney, top 10 in each of the first 2 Bristol dirt races. 8th or better in both of them, in fact, and looking to do the same here this year. Briscoe to the inside of Christopher Bell. Got alongside, couldn't clear. Bell carries the momentum off the cushion on the outside. Briscoe doesn't go all the way to the bottom this time. He runs the middle groove and slides back in line behind Bell. Bell will lead that lap at the line. Briscoe has not led all day, but is definitely contending, and it is a battle. Tyler Reddick closes in, about to make it a 3-car battle for the race lead with 34 to go.
It better be soon, or this will be a threesome.
Setting up to be an exact ending in the hands of Chase Briscoe, just like we had a year ago. See how loose Bell is? He's having to really throw the car there, and then it kind of tails on the exit. And that's where I see him looking in the mirror, trying to figure out where those guys are at, what kind of run they have coming.
Christopher's car is definitely looser than Chase and Tyler Reddick's cars for sure. The only thing he can do is stick that right rear up in the moisture up the top, hope it'll hold him, but that's his saving grace. I mean, it'd be hard for him to run anywhere else right now, I feel like.
He's holding Briscoe up. Briscoe better go, and it's exactly what I was going to say. If he doesn't make a move soon, Reddick's going to. He has caught them. He's going to force them to make a move on him. I think you're going to see it pretty soon out of Briscoe.
And Bell is working that thing hard. 170 heartbeats a minute. That is max for many people.
I don't think that's because of the workload. I think that's because of what he sees in that mirror.
Absolutely.
Nervous. He got loose, really tailing out. The car's hanging on him. That's slow. Briscoe just can't find the grip to capitalize down there on the bottom. If they ever get around him, they're going to check out. Oh,
Briscoe
got tight.
Briscoe got up the cushion, and Bell scoots away, and Reddick tries to take advantage.
That actually came from a bobble on Bell's behalf. Bell bobbled, forced Briscoe to check up for him, almost let Reddick get around him.
And that's the thing about running that right rear in the cushion like that. A lot of times, if you don't have the wheels spinning a little bit, it'll grab it and pull the right front around. So you have to really modulate the throttle up there.
28 laps to go.
And he found his groove there. He's getting away from him a little bit. Here comes a slide job by Reddick. Not enough. I gotta go.
Oh! Almost contact, and up over the cushion went Briscoe, and back to third he went.
Now, I'm not going to put that on Reddick. I don't think Reddick actually necessarily put him on the wall. I think Briscoe tried to throttle up and get it back in position on him, trying to get in between him, stay on his outside, got the fence.
Absolutely, I agree with that. They both of those guys, Reddick and Briscoe, know they're faster than Christopher right now. And it's whoever can get there first, I feel like, has got the best shot to finish it off.
And around goes J.J. Yaley.
Off the racetrack quite a bit. Yep. Still green.
He spun down to the entrance of the backstretch pits, and we continue under green.
Bell has really found his groove, running this outside right up against the wall. Oh, Briscoe's in the wall again.
Yep, Austin Dillon got by him, and so did Ryan Blaney.
This baby is right up against the wall. Reddick almost in the wall, down in 1 and 2.
Now, Reddick has the newest tires of the leaders. He came in at the end of stage 2, whereas Bell and Briscoe did not. Austin Dillon also stopped, and he is now up for third place. So with 24 laps to go, we're going to take you Fox side by side one last time under green flag racing tonight.
And while that goes on, we'll take our final break and then take you to the finish of the Food City Bristol Dirt Race. Live commentary stream. Appreciate everybody watching. Again, like, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content to take you to the end of the race. Christopher Bell out in front with 23 laps to go. He's got a 0.7 of a second lead right now over Tyler Reddick. Austin Dillon is in, actually Ryan Blaney just passed Austin Dillon for third, so Blaney tried to put a charge on late. Austin Dillon in fourth. Then fifth place would be Chase Briscoe after getting into the wall a couple times in recent laps. Todd Gillen still at 6th. Great run for him. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 7th. Alex Bowman 8th. Martin Truex Jr. 9th. And Justin Haley rounds out the top 10. Josh Berry's fallen back to 11th on the restart. Chris Buescher in 12th. Michael McDowell 13th. Bubba Walls 14th. Kevin Harvick 15th. William Byron is in 16th. Ty Gibbs 17th. Harrison Burton is 18th. Ryan Preece 19th. Eric Jones is 20th. Brad Keselowski in 21st. Ty Dillon 22nd. AJ Allmendinger 23rd. Ross Chastain in 24th. Austin Cindric is 25th. 26th is Kyle Busch. Daniel Suarez 27th. BJ McLeod 28th. Denny Hamlin is the last car in the lead lap at 29th. And he is about to go a lap down, it appears. J.J. Yaley, who just spun, fell a couple laps down as a result. He is in 30th. Corey LaJoie 31st. Eric Almirola 32nd. Noah Gragson out of the race 33rd. As well as Matt Crafton is out of the race in 34th. Kyle Larson 35th. Jonathan Davenport will finish 36th. Joey Logano will round out our 37-car field. As of right now, coming to 18 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by battle on the racetrack for 7th between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Alex Bowman. And the two fastest cars on the racetrack right now are still Bell and Reddick at the front of the field. They're up on the outside. I believe they have just lapped a slow car on the bottom of the track of Eric Almirola once again as they get by the 10, who is down on the bottom trying to stay out of the leader's way. Bell up into the wall a little bit with the right rear corner panel that time. Catches the race car. Luckily, did not have that right front slap the wall in the aftermath of it. Scrubbed off a little bit of speed, but could have been a lot worse for Christopher Bell as he continues to drive on. Reddick quicker than Bell that last lap and will close the race lead gap down to about 4 car lengths, maybe even less than that into turns 1 and 2. Green flag run stemming almost 30 laps now as the caution flag is out with about 15 laps to go. Not sure what exactly the caution is out for. Waiting to see. There's damage on Harrison Burton's race car. But still not sure exactly what the caution is out for.
Keeps getting higher and higher and higher. They're out of real estate. You see that right rear corner getting a workout.
And that's the problem. As the cushion keeps moving up, eventually you run out of real estate. So you're essentially threading a needle at that point. I mean, your room for error just keeps getting smaller and smaller.
Also, while we were in break, Corey LaJoie spun in turn number 4, spun and kept going. No caution there.
Sounds like the caution's for Kyle Busch
bringing out the 13th caution of the evening.
Yeah, Kyle Busch spun, bringing out the caution.
Well, I didn't even have a chance to get stuck.
That's the 3rd or 4th time I've seen him do that. Seems like his car's a little bit loose, and he's making sure that he backs into that cushion, probably a little bit of wheel spin, and make sure it comes out of it. Doing a good job of making sure that the right front doesn't hook and get in the wall.
And right before he hit the wall there, you heard him get back in the gas, and he's not trying to make the car go forward. He's just trying to make sure that it doesn't grab and swing the right front. That's a way harder hit than that right rear corner is.
That is really old school. That's a Darlington stripe right there.
Yes.
But to Tony's point, it's so important when you do that to make sure you keep those tires spinning to where you can stay off of it. If that baby hooks and throws the right front into it, that's when you're in big trouble.
Yes.
Let's watch the Cheddars onboard and see what happened here to Kyle Busch.
Yeah, that one was no different than any of the other ones we've seen. Just kind of a spun right down on to pit road.
29 cars still on the lead lap with 13 to go. Jamie?
Yes, and all kinds of issues for Kyle Busch. He spent most of the night in the top 10, and all of a sudden he just started dropping. He just had his hands full, but they just diagnosed it. They said the right front shock is broken and something else is broken in the right rear for Kyle Busch.
Well, neither of the 2 previous Bristol Dirt Race winners in the Cup Series will go to victory lane tonight. Joey Logano, first car out of the race. Kyle Busch with problems now on pit road with just 12 to go.
Been watching Blaney too. He is he's there for the taking. These two get to battling, beating on one another. Maybe he can slide in there and get a win, capitalize on those two battling. And he's running a little bit different line in doing so. He's not necessarily running right up against the wall. He is one of the cars that I've seen that can still make some hay in the middle of the corner.
Getting late in Bristol, just 12 laps to go. There's your aerial coverage. You can see the line around this racetrack and look at how it widens out in the turns from our Goodyear aerial coverage, powering every mile and every moment on NASCAR's road to victory. Goodyear, more driven. The 2 front runners have each been in position to win it on the dirt here in Bristol 2 years ago. Christopher Bell spinning while in contention and out of the race. And then last year, Chase Briscoe and Tyler Reddick.
Last ditch effort, last corner, going for the win. That was wild.
It'll be interesting when we come back around here to see what line Tyler Reddick chooses at the choose drone. Whether he takes that outside or whether he tries to give himself a shot on the inside this time.
What would you do if you're Reddick?
I think you got to at least give yourself a shot. I mean, try the inside. If Christopher goes up there and hits the wall again and has to check up, you might clear him off of turn 2. So I think you at least got to give yourself the opportunity, but it stays in line here. Brian Blaney is going, thank you. He wants that inside line.
And I think he's kind of privy to that inside line. That's where he's been running and happy and making grip, finding grip with his car. Gonna have to get a good jump, maybe roll to him a little bit. Very important to get a good jump with him. Not let that outside line freight train you.
And we don't talk about Ryan Blaney as a dirt driver, but his family is rich in history in dirt racing. His grandfather, Lou Blaney, sprint car and modified champion. His father, Dave Blaney, World of Outlaw champion. His brother, Dale Blaney, All-Star Circuit of Champions, multi-time champion. So he's got a family that knows exactly how to get around dirt races. And I saw when we were doing the pre-race show on pit road, saw Dave Blaney go by. I'm like, you can guarantee that Dave's given him input all night.
Now Ryan Blaney could use a little luck.
Yes.
Might be able to make some right here. Those guys have to chase that cushion. It's way up there in this first corner. I think it's important. I don't think they go straight to the cushion right off the bat, Tony. Might have to stay down the middle of the racetrack and guard this a little bit.
It's very smart, actually. I think you're right. It's you prefer to just be running the laps that you were running, but to go in on that entry and as tight as the entry is, if you can cut that off like we saw Larson do with that slide job earlier in the race, Christopher may not want to leave that door open, and I think that's smart. It could go either way. I mean, if he's really as loose as we are speculating he is, that's going to make it really tough to run through the center like that.
We're going to have 8 laps to go when they take the green. 2 Toyotas on the outside of the first 2 rows, 2 Fords on the inside, Blaney and Briscoe. The first Chevy is Austin Dillon in 5th, then Stenhouse in 7th. Pace truck is in.
Green flag back in the air. 8 laps of racing to go at Bristol on dirt. Christopher Bell leads the field to the green. Blaney on the inside of the front row. He gets down into the first turn. He gets cleaned out by Chase Briscoe in turns 1 and 2. Josh Berry into the outside wall trying to miss him. Blaney is around. He gets going back in the right direction. We stay green, and the race is on for the lead in the win between Bell and Reddick once again. 7 laps to go at the line that last time by. Bell has dominated the final stage. Reddick won stage 2. Has had to cut through the field on the fresh tires to get to this position. Can Bell hold on to win it, or will Reddick be there at the finish trying to redeem himself after coming so close to win last year? Ended up runner-up. He was taken out on the final lap by Briscoe. And it looks like Stenhouse was actually able to get up to 3rd place out of seemingly nowhere as he missed all the carnage to the inside after Briscoe had gotten into Blaney, trying to take it 3 wide for 2nd on the restart. Reddick has cut the lead down to about a half a second. It was a little bit quicker than Christopher Bell that last lap. About a 10th quicker. Both Bell and Reddick up on the outside lane of the racetrack. They'll be coming to 4 laps to go this time by. And although Stenhouse is in 3rd and Austin Dillon is in 4th, they're almost 2 seconds behind the race leader. 2 more miles of racing left for Tyler Reddick. Can he hold on to get the win? Or I should say, for Bell, can he hold on to get the win, or can Reddick run him down? Bowman's slow on the racetrack. I think he had to make an unscheduled pit stop. Believe he restarted right around 8th place, so he has fallen well off of the race pace at the front of the field. 3 more laps now for Reddick. Still a half a second back. Yawing the right rear corner panel out, almost into the wall, all the way through the corner, as well as Bell in front of him. Reddick is digging, both running the outside lane. Who can run it better? We haven't seen a lot of tire fall off, so even though Reddick has about 100 lap fresher tires, it doesn't seem like it'll come into the effect of the finish. It's literally driver versus driver at this point between the 45 and the 20. They'll be coming to the final lap, this time by 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Tyler Reddick maybe a car length and a half behind Bell. Bell got really loose off of turn 2. Reddick not going to try his dive down to the bottom this time. Bell scraping the outside wall through the corner. Reddick's going to have one more go at it. Slingshot move. Bell goes to the bottom to protect. Reddick actually went to the top. He lost the race car. The caution's out, actually. Caution flag is out. There was a wreck off of turn 4. The race will end under yellow, and it'll be Christopher Bell getting the win at Dirt Bristol. It looked like Ross Chastain was parked, and I think Ty Dillon had heavy damage to the front of his car, but they were sideways in turns 3 and 4 when the caution flag had waved as the leaders were getting into turns 3 and 4. Probably should have thrown the yellow a little sooner, but I think NASCAR was just trying to keep it green as long as they could until the very last second when they threw the yellow, realizing that the cars were not going to get out of the way. Luckily, Reddick missed Chastain, who was basically stalled out on the outside of the track. Bell will get his first win of 2022. It's massive for him. This will lock him into the playoffs. Finally gets the Dirt Bristol win in the NASCAR Cup Series. And Tyler Reddick, for the second straight year, will finish second in this very race.
Christopher Bell found victory lane. He's been very solid. The Gibbs bunch's been kind of quiet, but over the last year, even 2 years, he's been the one that's slowly rising to the top of the Gibbs camp.
I remember when Kyle Larson started in the Cup Series, and I was sitting in the motorhome. We were both watching a Western States midget race, and he goes, "This kid is better than me." I said, "Who is it?" He goes, "Christopher Bell."
See what he's doing? Polish victory lap. Very cool. Something Alan Kowicki did for his first win and did when he won the Cup Championship. As he said, I wanted to do something people would remember long after I'm gone. They do, and drivers do. Left side window to the fans, saluting them on the way to victory. Class.
Yes, it is, and that's a great way to honor Alan. I mean, it's, like you said, it's not just today because of the 30th year. That's what drivers have been doing ever since then.
Hey, I want to take care of some business real quick. Hats off to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 4th place. How about Justin Haley, 6th place for him. Truex, that is a big turnaround for him in 7th. Gilliland, Todd Gilliland, 8th. That boy has been doing a good job behind the wheel. And then Harvick, he was down and out all day long. Average position of 24th and finishes in the top 10. The closer has done it again. McDowell did 2 360s in this race, never hit anybody, ended up with the top 10. And again, that Gibbs guy has another good run. Solid run for Ty Gibbs.
Great job, Ty Gibbs. 9th, 9th, and 11th. That's a pretty good 4 weeks. Christopher Bell led 100 of the 250 laps tonight, including the last one. All right, let's join Regan Smith.
Well, Christopher Bell had to drive 100 perfect laps at the end of that race. You had restarts, you had challenges from Chase Briscoe, from Tyler Reddick. You held them all off. How does this one feel on Easter?
Man, let me tell you, those are some of the longest laps in my entire life. You know, this place is so much fun, whether it's dirt or concrete. And whenever the cushion got up there on the top, it was very tough because you couldn't drive it super hard, otherwise you get sucked in. And if you got your right front into it, you push a little bit. If you got your right rear into it, you'd slide. So it was a lot of fun. But man, I'm just so grateful to be here, driving this number 20 for DeWalt, Joe Gibbs Racing. And that was a lot of fun.
You talk about the cushion going to the top. We saw you hitting the right rear a number of times. Was there any moment there where you thought, uh-oh, this is going to be the one that gets me into it?
Yeah, so 3 and 4, that was the scary corner for me because if you got into it too far, you lost all your momentum. And 1 and 2, I think I kept hitting the wall a couple of times, but it seemed like there was a little bit more moisture up there and it would hold me better. So I'm like, okay, I can really attack 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 is the end. I got to be careful. And man, I just can't get over how long those laps feel. You know, it's a 20-second lap and you're moving the wheel 18 times at corners, so it feels like it takes a long time to get around there.
Christopher Bell, your winner on Easter Sunday in Bristol.
and Tyler Reddick. Different team, but same result at Bristol Dirt. It was compelling to watch those closing laps, but what was that battle like with Christopher Bell?
It was a lot of fun, honestly. Really intense. Yeah, towards the end there, definitely feel like I found a little bit more. I thought I was at the edge, but I wasn't quite there in the last couple laps. Definitely found it. Just hate it for everybody on the SiriusXM Toy Camry TRD. Just needed to be a little bit closer than I was. I think with 2 to go, it would have been really bold to try and make that move work. Obviously, on the white flag coming into 3 and 4, I was going to see. But, yeah, we'll never know if it worked. But still a good rebound for us. We definitely thought the track was going to take a different direction than it did as the race unfolded. So, just as it turned out, our strategy wasn't the best. But, well, that was on me.
And his son, Bo, comes up to give him a hug. Josh?
Well, Chase Briscoe comes home 5th, battling towards the end of that race with Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell and battling that broken finger. What more did you need tonight?
I don't know. I just needed a little bit more on the time. I felt like I was okay. I just wasn't quite as good. I thought the 45 was definitely probably the best. The 20, I felt like I could kind of pace him, but it was going to be nearly impossible to pass him. There's a couple times I was close in 1 and 2. I just kind of felt like I had my hands tied the whole time. I just needed to be a little bit more better. But yeah, overall, an awesome day for Imaginable Vacation Planners for a really cool paint scheme. They had 500 other planners on the car, so a lot of smiling faces on the car. Wish we could have had them all smiling in victory lane, but nevertheless, overall, just a good solid points night for us, which is something that we haven't really had all season long. So yeah, wish we could have got the win, but yeah, I thought it was an awesome race. I hope the fans thought it was too. I felt like more of a real dirt race than we've had really any of the years. So had a lot of fun in the car, and yeah, hopefully my finger will feel good tomorrow.
First top 5 finish on the Bristol Dirt for Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, dirt track veterans took all of the top 5 places tonight. Let's go back and show you what happened to end the race here. That's Suarez.
Looked like Suarez off the front of, I think
Berry.
that was, Chris Buescher.
Oh!
Man, big contact with Berry into Chastain. Watch these leaders come off of. He was there.
He was in
It was
position.
going to be interesting.
So Christopher Bell is your race winner. Margin of victory really is none with the race ending under caution. There was a pretty decent crash on the back straightaway, which led into turns 3 and 4 as the leaders were about to make their way into the final corner of the final lap, so they had to throw the yellow flag. Pretty hard impact, it looked like, between Chastain and Suarez. Chastain got pinched, and both front tires came up off the ground. Luckily, came back down on all 4 there. But Christopher Bell's going to get the race win. Tyler Reddick ends up finishing in 2nd. Austin Dillon with a 3rd-place run ran top 5 all night. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes in 4th, and Chase Briscoe rounds out the top 5. Justin Haley in 6th, Martin Truex Jr. 7th, Todd Gillen 8th, Kevin Harvick, who is nowhere to be found all night, still somehow got a top 10. He finishes 9th. And Michael McDowell, who spun twice in the race today, still kept the car clean, all things considered, got a top 10 finish, finishing 10th today. Bubba Wallace finishes 11th, William Byron 12th, Eric Jones 13th, Harrison Burton 14th, AJ Allmendinger 15th, Brad Keselowski 16th, Chris Buescher 17th, Austin Cindric 18th, JJ Yeley 19th, and Ty Dillon finished 20th. 21st was Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney 22nd after getting spun while being in 3rd on the final restart for Chase Briscoe. And actually, it looks like these are unofficial results, by the way, with the caution ending the race on the final lap. So it looks like, as I'm speaking, Hamlin and Blaney have swapped spots. Hamlin will move to 22nd, Ryan Blaney back to 23rd. Ryan Preece will finish 24th as of right now. Daniel Suarez 25th, BJ McLeod 26th. And Josh Berry 27th. Ross Chastain finishes first driver lap down in 28th as he was parked in 3 and 4 in that final lap. So that was the reason, again, for the yellow. Alex Bowman finishes in 29th, made an unscheduled stop off that final restart. He was in the top 10 going to the green. Corey LaJoie finishes 30th. Eric Almirola 31st. Kyle Busch ends up 32nd. And I believe he was the first driver of those that DNF'd. 33rd place finish tonight will be Noah Gragson, Matt Crafton 34th, Kyle Larson 35th, Jonathan Davenport 36th, Joey Logano rounds out our 37-car field. Average race speed of 56.51 miles per hour. 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 48 seconds total time on today's race. and we had a grand total of 14 caution flags in this one. Christopher Bell led the most laps today as he ended up leading 100 laps in today's race. Kyle Larson led the second most laps today from the pole as he led 75 laps. Tyler Reddick led 69 as well. Kyle Busch led 6. So those were the only 4 drivers to lead laps in today's race. And with those 4 different leaders, we had a total of 8 lead changes amongst them. And, tough to pass the leader when they got out in front. But definitely whoever got to the lead seemed to be really quick, whether it was Bell, Larson, or Reddick, except for Busch, who led like 6 laps in there. In the race. He was really the only one that couldn't hang on to the lead, but even he had a quick car, was in the top 10 all night until he ended up in that spin, bringing out the second to last caution, which set up the final restart of the race with about 8 laps to go as he had a suspension issue and ended up spinning and breaking down there. Stage winners today, Tyler Reddick won Stage 2, Kyle Larson won Stage 1, but Christopher Bell is the one that's going to get the race win. He'll be the 7th different winner through the first 8 races of the NASCAR Cup Series season. He'll be locked into the playoffs as long as, of course, we don't get more than 16 winners, but even if we do, pretty good in the point standings coming into the day as a result, and a solid points day to go along with it. He'll be moving forward in the standings a little more. Where did our spotlight drivers finish today? How did my predictions go? We'll check that out right now. Christopher Bell, one of the must-have picks today. He gets the win. Reddick, another one, ends up finishing in second place there. The other 2, though, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson, they ended up falling back. Larson ended up spinning, put himself back in traffic, and Ryan Preece seemed to have retaliated on him, squeezed him into the wall, and then Larson ended up wrecking down in the next corner after making more contact with the 41 of Ryan Preece. So Larson finishes 35th. He was also my pick to win the race. So I was wrong on his finish. Kyle Busch finished 32nd. Again, had that suspension failure late in the race before spinning out. Had to go behind the garage. There was no contact there, so it just broke on the car. I wonder if maybe the rut had something to do with it. I don't know. That is for certain because everybody went through the rut, and I don't think anybody else had broken down like Busch. So whatever the case was, mechanical failure there for the 8 car, taking him out of a good finish. After he ran top 10 all day leading up to that and again led some laps. One of only 4 drivers to lead in tonight's race. So split 2 and 2 there. The 2 sleeper picks today that I had. I don't know why I took J.J. Yaley. I was high on him after the heat races yesterday. I bought into the hype. Shouldn't have. He finished in 20th. So I was wrong on his pick. And before I get into the rest of the post-race breakdown, here's Austin Dillon with Jamie Little.
I had a blast out there. I don't care what anybody says about the dirt, the concrete. That was cool. That was one of the coolest races I've ever been in. They did a great job, SMI, making the track where you could just slide around top to bottom, and it constantly was changing. It was a blast out there. It really was. And just wish we could have brought home the win. You know, we were second in those stages, and the Brest Street Chevy was really good at the end of stage 2. I was kind of biding my time there, and all of a sudden the track moved all the way to the top. A little slow getting to that. And then at the end, I circled back around Stenhouse right in that lane that I was kind of making speed in. So all in all, it was so much fun. And can't thank our sponsors enough, Bass Pro Shops, Brest Street. We've got a great group with our Growth Energy Chevy. So we'll keep working. Hopefully we can carry this momentum. Got a lot of points tonight. Just really wish we could have taken home the win.
Austin Dillon, best finish of the year. And that's it.
If we get any more interviews, you guys will get to listen into that as well here as we're taking you into the finish of this stream. The other sleeper pick that I have for tonight's race, other than J.J. Yaley, was Daniel Suarez. He got in a crash on the last lap, and he ended up finishing 25th. But he had pretty much ran outside the top 15 the whole night, too. So started at the back. Probably should have been a little wiser with the sleeper picks on that side of things. But not great there. The 3 don't have picks that I ended up having tonight. It was looking good most of the race. They did not run inside the top 10 at all. Denny Hamlin ended up finishing 22nd, so I was right on that. The only time he was in the top 10 was when he stayed out of the pits during the stage break, and he was the first one of those 9 that stayed out of the pits during the stage 2 break to fall backwards. So he ended up finishing outside the top 20, so I was right there. I was wrong on Kevin Harvick. Harvick finished 9th. He was not in the top 10 the whole race, though, until that final restart. Somehow he got to 9th. I don't know where he was running before the restart, but he got to 9th. I don't know if maybe a lot of cars checked up when Blaney spun in the middle of the pack and he passed a bunch of cars there. Whatever the case was, Kevin Harvick got the top 10, so I guess I was wrong on his pick. And then I also took William Byron as a don't have. He finished 13th. He finished 10th, I believe, at the end of Stage 1. Outside of that, though, from Stage 2 on, he wasn't in the top 10 the rest of the race. So almost went 3 for 3 on the don't have picks this weekend. But Harvick just sneaking in there at the last second. Was able to get up to 9th somehow on the final couple laps of the race on that late race restart with 8 to go. And so I ended up going 2-1 on the don't have predictions this week. One more thing that we have to check, and that is the Fantasy League. So I'll check that real quick. You can go onto the NASCAR mobile app or website, sign up with your email. It is free to join. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season, excluding the Daytona 500, if you win the regular season or playoff championship. And you can still qualify for the playoffs. So I know a lot of people are saying, I'll just wait till next year to join. No, you can join now. You might as well. It's free. You're not going to win the regular season championship because we're already 8 races in now. But you automatically qualify for the playoffs. The points completely reset. So everybody that's in the league when the playoffs start, the points get reset to 0. We'll crown a completely separate champion. You have a chance to double down on that if you're already in the league and in contention for the regular season title as well. You can go on the NASCAR website, as you can see on the screen right now, to quick links. No matter what page you're on NASCAR's website, there's a Fantasy Live tab. Click on that. The sign in, sign out is right here on the right side of the screen. Again, with your email, create a password. Free to join. Search for KRC League when you go to the leagues to join a league. I'll put it in the chat real quick. KRC in all caps, space, and then capital L on league. So KRC League there. And okay, so this is a little frustrating. So I made the switch. Oh, no, I didn't. Never mind. I forgot. I took Logano out because he finished last. So we'll take a look at my fantasy team and then who won this week and then base the rest of the finishes off of there. So as far as tonight's race goes, Kyle Larson, I think he tied for the most stage points with Austin Dillon in the race. Unfortunately, finished 35th, so didn't really get as many points as I would have hoped there. Tyler Reddick finished 2nd. Great run for him. Christopher Bell won the race, had him on the team. Great day. Kyle Busch had a lot of stage points, but also finished outside the top 30. Had a mechanical issue late. J.J. Haley didn't get any stage points, finished 20th. So not a great day for my fantasy team. Luckily, I didn't spend an extra usage out of Logano at least. And I know I probably won't have Haley on my team the rest of the year, so I guess decent points there. Coming in 2nd in the standings into this week, though. Not a great week for me. As far as the bonus points go, I had Kyle Busch over Joey Logano, got the 10 points there. I had Reddick over Suarez, got 10 more bonus points. And then I didn't get the last 2 sets of 20 bonus points as I picked Larson to win the race, so I had him over Bell. Bell won, obviously. And then I had Bowman over Briscoe. And Bowman was in the top 10 of that last restart, but Briscoe was still ahead of him and probably still would have finished ahead of him before Bowman ended up having to pit. Must have had a tire going down late off that restart, but whatever the case is, split for 20 points. Ended up finishing 10th tonight with 176, so I fell back quite a bit. Inside Uranus gets the win this week with 228 points. We'll see who he had on his team. He had Kyle Larson as well. He had Chase Briscoe tonight, which I did not have. He also had Ricky Stenhouse Jr., which I did have. Both Stenhouse and Briscoe had top 5s. Austin Dillon tied for the most points tonight with Christopher Bell, and they also finished in the top 5. So he had 4 of the top 5 finishers, so good for him. And then he had Priest in his garage, which he actually would have ended up tying in points with Larson. Anyway, so he didn't really lose any points in his garage either. And as far as the bonus points go, he had Busch over Logano, which he got. He had Reddick over Suarez, which he had gotten. And then he had also taken Briscoe over Bowman. So he got 30 bonus points to my 20. And, yeah, the rest of the top 5 for this week. P-Shat Motorsports finishes in 2nd with 221 points. 207 points for Derek Booth, finishing 3rd. Not an Elliott fan, finishes 4th with 203 points. And then we're given Buckeye Racing Team with 200 points. We'll round out our top 5 for the week for this weekend's Dirt Bristol event in fantasy. Next week, we will check the schedule real quick to see what the streaming schedule will be like for next weekend's live commentary streams. The NASCAR Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races will be next week at Martinsville. Friday night for the truck race, Saturday night for the Xfinity race, and then Sunday afternoon for the Cup Series race as well. Went to the wrong page. Give me a second to update that. So Friday night stream next week for the Craftsman Truck Series will begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time next Friday night, April 14th. Book the calendars. Be right here on the channel for the Truck Series live race commentary. And then the following night on Saturday next week, April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day. We'll be here 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time for the Xfinity race on Saturday as well. And then the Cup Series race on Sunday. We go live a little earlier for those races. Checking the start time just to make sure. The race starts at 3, so we'll be live at 2:30 on Sunday next week. So 7:30 for the Truck and Xfinity races Saturday and Friday night. So Truck race Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time for a live commentary stream. Xfinity Series Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time. And then on Sunday afternoon for the Cup race, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time there as well. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here tonight. Again, hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We didn't quite get to our goal of likes today. We were about 27 short. Maybe we'll get there right as I'm ending the stream. But if you haven't hit it yet, definitely do so. And I will see you guys again next time. I think we'll have another NASCAR 07 live stream tomorrow. I'm not sure what series, what race yet, but playing on NASCAR 07 tomorrow night on the channel. Probably going to start that up at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a good rest of your Sunday night. Happy Easter.